largest ever fine against the organization for charges they were improperly registered and didn't report millions in contributions. In a statement obtained by WSB, the group's board of directors says they hope for a future shaped by justice, truth, and active citizenship. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Sunny skies today, staying warm, highs around 81. How about rain? We need it. All of Georgia under a drought right now, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
With moderate drought conditions now in eastern metro Atlanta, this means that the lawns and gardens require more watering, and crops are now vulnerable to the low soil moisture. Streams, pond levels are lower, water temperatures are increasing, and trees become stressed, which means they prematurely drop their leaves.
And she says we have severe drought conditions in south and western metro Atlanta. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast at 12:05. Happening right now, President Trump speaking with Russia's Vladimir Putin as he considers Ukraine's push for long-range missiles. That's according to a White House official. The call comes ahead of Trump's meeting tomorrow at the White House with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We'll be watching. The government shutdown now, neither side budging. House Speaker Mike Johnson asked today about the Affordable Care Act, the Affordable Care Act tax credits that are set to expire.
The Obamacare subsidy issue is not the issue of today. It is in a subsidy that expires December 31. We were always planning to continue the debate and discussion about that issue in October and November. Ironically, Democrats are taking the time off the clock for us to do that.
And we are now in day 16 as furloughed workers are still out waiting for Democrats and Republicans to get something done. Senator Bernie Sanders says there are good Republicans out there, and he is placing Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene in that category. The Vermont senator made the remarks during a CNN town hall.
I never thought that I would say this, but you have somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, you know what? I was elected by my constituents. That's who I am beholden to, not the President of the United States.
Now, Greene has been vocal in speaking out against her party for failing to secure a plan to keep Affordable Care Act premium subsidies from expiring. Parents of an infant found dead near the father's home are now behind bars, both of them.
The father and mother of 6-month-old Nakiah Pratt are now jailed and slated to appear in front of a Clayton County magistrate Friday morning. This will be the second appearance for Antonio Pierce, whose first virtual hearing was for false statements. He's now charged with murder, aggravated assault, child cruelty, and more in the death of the little boy whose body was found in the backyard of a home where he claimed the child had been kidnapped by armed robbers. Court records show Nakiah's mother, Nicolette Pratt, is charged with battery, false statements, obstruction, and party to a crime. No word yet on the baby boy's cause of death. Veronica Waters, 95.5 WSB.
Did you hear about this? There was a fire at Johnson Ferry Baptist Church last night. It was in the old sanctuary. Firefighters quickly contained the blaze. No injuries reported. And we checked out their Instagram page. And according to that, all activities are continuing today as planned there at Johnson Ferry Baptist. All right, if you have expired or unwanted medications in your house, you can now drop them off in Gwinnett County at police headquarters and other precincts.
Unused medication left lying around can be a hazard to small children and others, and improper disposal can cause other concerns like contaminating the water supply. So Gwinnett Police have installed drop-off receptacles in all 6 police precincts and at the headquarters on High Hope Road.
A total of 7 locations where residents can come and dispose of expired or unwanted pills, tablets, capsules, or liquids.
Corporal Ryan Winderweedle says the containers are in the lobbies of each location. You can make drop-offs weekdays from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. Graham Kill, 95.5 WSB.
Well, as the Treasury Department winds down production of the penny, some retailers have run out of pennies and can no longer make exact change. They're urging customers to pay with plastic or a phone payment app. Wake Forest University economics professor Robert Waples says doing away with the penny is a good thing.
Even if we could produce the penny for free out of thin air, it's just a waste of our time, and our time's valuable. Time is money.
Several Federal Reserve Bank sites have already stopped fulfilling orders for pennies. Speaking of money, let's take a look at the markets right now. The Dow's down 65 at 46,188. NASDAQ is up slightly. The S&P's in the red. It's time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams with a look at the roads.
Hey, Sabrina, right now we are still watching this crash on the West Freeway, but as we speak, they're moving it to the right shoulder. I-20 eastbound, Fulton Industrial Boulevard, exit 49. Hopefully that will help improve the ride out of Lithia Springs. And in Henry County, I-75 northbound, it is very slow up through McDonough, and I just found the reason why. Looks like we got trouble in at least the right lane, Jonesboro Road, exit 221. Nope, just the left lane open. So you're going to want to use Highway 42 as your alternate there to get around that. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
And now your 5-day forecast sponsored by Shoemate, the official plumber of Atlanta.
Sunny skies for today, high 81. That's still trending about 5 degrees above average for this afternoon. Lows tonight in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. Saturday, a mix of sun and clouds, morning low 59, afternoon high 82. Rain showers return on Sunday, off and on throughout the day. A few rumbles of thunder possible, as much as half an inch of rainfall possible as well through Sunday evening, high 77. Drying out and cooling down on Monday with a high of 75.
All right, we have 78 degrees here in Midtown Atlanta. More news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
1-0, all engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. I am delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. We must begin with the globalist president striding the world stage better than many who have come before him. President Trump, now just 4 days ago, was in the Middle East securing the release of hostages from Hamas, signing a peace deal in Egypt, surrounded by Western and Eastern world leaders singing his praises about how he has brought peace. And what I find really interesting is, well, one, it's harder for him at home where he has to deal with Congress, but two, part of the broader coalition that got Donald Trump elected was a anti-globalist coalition. You hear a lot of President Trump supporters use the word globalist as a pejorative, and they don't mean it well. You have, for example, Marjorie Taylor Greene declared herself America First. She wasn't even concerned about American hostages held by Hamas, because they were abroad and they were Jewish and she didn't care about them. You have Tucker Carlson thinking we need to be isolationist, divorce ourselves from our relationship with Israel and with NATO. You have even J.D. Vance, who ran as an isolationist, and he comes from an authentic Midwestern strain of isolationism in the blue-collar Rust Belt area of Ohio, where they kind of want to keep to themselves. A lot of historically American isolationist sentiment came from that area of the country, and he is certainly a possessor of it. And now comes word that the president, the man they all support, here in his second and final term for office, has decided to change his position towards regime change in Venezuela. It's somewhat unmistakable that he's trying to build pressure for the end of the Maduro regime. I mentioned this yesterday. I'm going to mention it again. From the New York Times, the Trump administration has secretly authorized the CIA to conduct covert action in Venezuela, according to U.S. officials, stepping up a campaign against Nicolas Maduro, the country's authoritarian leader. The authorization is the latest step in the Trump administration's intensifying pressure campaign against Venezuela. For weeks, the U.S. military has been targeting boats off the Venezuelan coast. It says they're transporting drugs, killing 27 people. American officials have been clear privately that the end goal is to drive Maduro from power. Trump acknowledged on Wednesday he's authorized the covert action and said the United States was considering strikes on Venezuelan territory. Quote, "We are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control." But wait. There's more. That was the New York Times. This is the Washington Post. The U.S. military's elite special operations aviation unit appears to have flown in Caribbean waters less than 90 miles from the coast of Venezuela in recent days. The helicopters were engaged in training exercises, according to a U.S. official, that could serve as preparation for expanded conflict against drug traffickers, including potentially missions inside Venezuela. The U.S. military has struck at least 5 boats allegedly carrying illegal narcotics in international waters, killing at least 27 people. President Trump on Wednesday authorized the Central Intelligence Agency to conduct missions inside the country. The U.S. has declared it is in armed conflict with drug traffickers, though lawmakers and legal experts have said the strikes are unlawful killings of people who are suspected criminals and not battlefield combatants. Visuals that circulated on social media in early October appeared to show MH-6 Little Bird attack helicopters and MH-60 Blackhawks over open water near oil and gas platforms. A visual analysis of the platforms and visible terrain indicated the helicopters were flying off Trinidad's northeast coast, bringing them within 90 miles of several points along Venezuela's coastline. The aircraft are operated by the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, says Mark Kansian, a senior advisor with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. The center flies missions for commandos like Navy SEALs, Green Berets, and Delta Force, and has gained renown for undertaking complex and dangerous operations, such as the raid to kill Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. The inclusion of Little Birds suggests preparations for potential missions that could see U.S. boots on the ground. Where are the screams about globalism and the globalists? You know, today it's acceptable on the right to vilify George Jimmy McBush Hitler Halliburton. George Bush, not HWW. The president who sent us to Iraq and Afghanistan. Globalism, globalist. It is a pejorative now on the right. You're very Bushian. They don't mean it as a good thing. He was a very nice guy. He was a very good president. He struggled with a very difficult task after 9/11, decided to go in and finish the job his father had started. History judges it, reflects on it poorly. But at the time, it's what he knew to do, and it was to avenge what happened on 9/11. And there's been a lot of historic revision now from the right to malign George W. Bush to keep the United States out of global interests and global intrigue. And a lot of people, from Tucker Carlson to others, have maligned George W. Bush's presidency. They have come to vilify George W. Bush's presidency to discourage future Republican presidents from being globalist. Here now, the president of the United States of America, Donald John Trump, who has himself attacked George W. Bush as a globalist, looking mighty globalist. In the early 1800s, the United States was a little concerned after the Congress of Vienna that European powers would try to revolve monarchical governments in the Western Hemisphere. France had agreed to restore a Spanish monarchy in exchange for Cuba. After the Napoleonic Wars, the Holy Alliance, that included Prussia, Austria, and Russia, began authorizing military incursions to reestablish Bourbon rule over Spain and its colonies that were inspired by the American Revolution in the Western Hemisphere, declaring themselves as independent. The United States, under the President of the United States, James Monroe, in 1823, during his 7th annual State of the Union to Congress, declared what he essentially called the Monroe Doctrine. Now, it was written by the Secretary of State and future President John Quincy Adams. This is part of what it said. The occasion has been judged proper for asserting as principle in which the rights and interests of the United States are involved, that the American continents be free and independent condition, which they have assumed and maintain, are henceforth not to be considered as subjects for future colonization by any European power. The second passage of it, however, is a more complete statement. We owe it, therefore, to candor and to the amicable relations existing between the United States and those powers to declare that we should consider any attempt on their part to extend their system to any portion of this hemisphere as dangerous to our peace and safety. when the existing colonies and dependencies of any European power, we have not interfered and shall not interfere. But with the governments who have declared their independence and maintained it, and whose independence we have on great consideration and on just principles acknowledged, we could not view any interposition for the purpose of oppressing them or controlling in any other manner their destiny by any European power in any other light than as a manifestation of an unfriendly disposition toward the United States. Interestingly enough, there was one European power that agreed. The British. We had just come out of the War of 1812. You have Monroe there now, from Secretary of State to President. Notice how in the early American Republic, a lot of Secretary of States were elevated because us on the world stage was very important, and the Secretary of States oftentimes got elected. The British had moved from a mercantilist empire into laissez-faire free trade, and they recognized that through free trade conditions they could maintain their colonial regime better than through a mercantilist protectionist system of trade between colonies to prop up the main. They realized that the colonial economic system that they had before the American Revolution and that fostered the American Revolution was ultimately destabilizing. The British were totally down with the Monroe Doctrine. They did not want to commit arms to reestablishing monarchical control over colonies in the Western Hemisphere. In fact, their colonies were the most stable. Their colonies were transitioning to parliamentary democracies. And in fact, around the world today, the British systems are the most stable. When you look at the countries of the world that descended from the British Empire versus the French Empire versus the Spanish Empire versus the German Empire versus the Belgian Empire, the British system remains the most stable. India, Kenya, a lot of countries in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, Bermuda, even Jamaica, they got problems, but contrast them with some of the other countries out there, including the Spanish colonies. The British tend to have a better parliamentary system and democratic support, and those that remain within the Commonwealth tend to support each other, and they've been pretty stable. The other European powers hated the Monroe Doctrine. One of the countries that really didn't like the Monroe Doctrine and thought we were getting too big for our britches were the Russians, who today are helping the Venezuelans in violation of the Monroe Doctrine, along with the Chinese and the Iranians, who weren't applied to the Monroe Doctrine. But this president, the current president, has taken a more expansive view that the Eastern powers should stay out of the Western Hemisphere. And he's right. And he's willing to use the American military to shut down the expansionist tendencies of the Chinese and of the Russians and of the Iranians, all of whom have a military presence presently in Venezuela, with Nicolas Maduro, who is trying to undermine this American government and the American people with narco traffickers who are addicting Americans to drugs and killing them. There are between 770,000 and 1 million Venezuelan refugees lawfully living within the United States who have fled the Venezuelan regime. If you collapse the Venezuelan regime, 1 million people in this country roughly would go back to Venezuela, further reducing immigrants in this country, taking jobs from Americans. You're dealing with the immigration issue, the drug issue, and the Western Hemisphere issue with one fell swoop if you take out Nicolas Maduro. Now, the problem for the president, of course, is that he got elected attacking globalists, and this is a pretty globalist policy. It is a pretty strong policy of the president of the United States to go in this direction, and it's probably the most sound policy the president could go in. But it puts him at odds with a portion of his base that, as he heads towards lame duck status, is increasingly vocal that after the president, MAGA will split and they want their piece of it. And so you could start seeing a coalition now of isolationists led by people like Marjorie Taylor Greene coming out of the MAGA coalition, trying to establish their own. The question is, what does Donald Trump right now, where he has so much political capital after what he did with Hamas and Israel, do to stamp out that isolationist swell that will undoubtedly happen if he does decide to dispatch Nicolas Maduro? And just so we're clear here, dispatching Nicolas Maduro would be a good and worthy cause.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1220 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Better news in Henry County. That earlier crash, 75 northbound Jonesboro Road, exit 221 has cleared, so the delays up through McDonough will start to improve. Just found a new crash on the West Freeway, 20 eastbound between Fulton Industrial Boulevard and I-285. That blocks the right lane. We're starting to see some brake lights fill in behind that, and left lane construction in the cab on I-20 eastbound approaching Panola Road, exit 71. Traffic brought to you by Macy's Backstage. Macy's Backstage is a whole department inside your Macy's store where you can find the looks, all for under $30. With new arrivals every day, you never know what you'll find. Find a location at macy'sbackstage.com. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
When the news matters to you.
The FAA says the flight crew was reporting possible smoke in the flight deck.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
Beef prices are going up.
Your 24/7 news source.
They had no ties to a gang, but they were killed by them.
You need the story. All you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
A stunning home calls for stunning exterior craftsmanship. That's why you trust the Plus. Painting Plus. They have the most experienced exterior craftsmen in the industry.
Hi, I'm Charlie, owner of Painting Plus. Trust the Plus family of businesses for everything on your list.
Painting Plus. The Plus means anything and everything exteriors at the highest quality. Your complete exterior solution.
Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
This is Scott Slade, updating my health story. I get a checkup every year, and last September, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number on my lab work. Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options, and I'm more optimistic than ever about a good outcome. Now, when we're talking about our health, level with your providers. If you think you have a problem, we all need expert eyes looking us over every so often. That's where virtual imaging can be invaluable. Virtual Imaging's LDCT body scan can give you time and options for early treatment, especially for cancer. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. For a limited time, Virtual Imaging is extending their core body scan offer for only $995 per scan. That's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response, they've opened up more times in both offices. But appointments will fill up fast for this offer, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. That's virtualimagingatl.com. Do it now, while you still have options.
You're building a deck or adding a room, that's wonderful. But if you skip hiring an architect trying to save money, well, the builder's going to need drawings anyway. They're going to hire an architect regardless and mark up their fees to you. That's why it's smarter to start your project at Sketchhouse. Hi, I'm Richard Taylor, architect at Sketchhouse. At Sketchhouse, we'll make sure your plans are code and zoning compliant, they'll be creative, and they will look great. You're going to save thousands of dollars with Sketchhouse Architects. We're going to make this easy for you. Go to Sketchhouse.com. That's Sketch, H-A-U-S, Sketchhouse.com.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Becker's in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers.
Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are open now for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of Atlanta. A winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of Atlanta. You can't win if you don't enter. Enter now at overheaddooratlanta.com. That's overheaddooratlanta.com.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Want to be on the show? Come on, be on the show. Call Eric now at 877-973-7425.
It'd help if I turned on my microphone, wouldn't it? I'm a professional. Maybe. Y'all know I don't even know how to operate. I tried to learn how to operate the radio board, and they told me that it would cost someone else their job. So I figured I should stop, and I just know how to turn on and off the button that lets me talk and hit the little cough button when I sneeze so it doesn't blast your eardrums. But other than that, I don't know. I just apparently have this gift of being able to not shut up for 3 hours. So nonetheless, welcome back. It's Erick Erickson. Don't forget, text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. We're doing Richard Nixon price controls, apparently. The Nixon administration is back. The Trump administration will set price floors across a range of industries to combat market manipulation by China. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told CNBC China has driven foreign competitors in the rare earth industry out of business over the past 2 decades by using its global dominance in refining and processing to slash prices. This is not actually true. And I know it's not actually true, and I have the data to back it up. What a price floor is means that the price of something can go no lower than what the government sets. It's one of the things Richard Nixon did. He set price ceilings, meaning the price could go no higher. He set price floors. It caused scarcity. A free market means you don't have floors, you don't have ceilings in prices, and it actually hurts American consumers to have a price floor because they could be getting the product cheaper. You know the reason, the actual real reason we're having problems in this country with rare earth minerals? Because it takes 7 to 10 years to secure a mine permit in the United States. It's one of the longest permitting processes in the world. Australia and Canada, the process takes between 2 and 3 years. 7 to 10 in the United States, 2 to 3 here. It's actually one of the highest on the entire planet to get a mine permit in this country. That's why we don't mine rare earth minerals in this country. It has nothing to do with capitalism and everything to do with the failure of government. Capitalists went where it was cheaper to get the minerals, and now Scott Bessent's going to punish the American consumer by putting a price floor on, keeping prices high. He should take the capitalism course from Hillsdale College. They have an entire section on price ceilings and price floors that he could learn from. It's Economics 101 that every college kid learns about price floors and price ceilings and the supply and demand curve. Hillsdale College can get you educated and get the Secretary of Treasury reminded of these very basic economic concepts that everybody understands and that are true. You go to erickforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K, erickforhillsdale.com. You take any class. They've got 40 to choose from: history, philosophy, political science, literature, theology, chemistry, mathematics, economics, and you just learn. Find a topic you're interested in and learn. You learn at no charge. You get a certificate of completion from Hillsdale College. And you also see what sets Hillsdale apart. You know, it's harder to get into Hillsdale College now than it is to get into Harvard. The reason is the competition, the demand, and the quality of the education that you get at Hillsdale College. They limit seats to the highest quality applicants to give them a high quality education. You can see what that education's like, be challenged and stimulated with these great classes. They're video lectures, 30 minutes apiece, depending on the class, depends on the number. You go to ericforhillsdale.com, E-R-I-C-K. Sign up with Hillsdale College today at no cost to you. When we come back, a lot more, and your phone calls, 877-973-7425.
Buying a new car? Need help fixing your current car? What's the safest car for a first-time buyer? The Car Guys have the answer. Join Shelley Winter and automotive expert Kevin Deutsch this and every Saturday at 12 for all your car needs. The Car Guys, presented by Butler Lexus of South Atlanta, Saturdays at noon on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 12:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Jim Ellis Automotive. WSB's Veronica Waters reporting that the court appearance for that Clayton County father that reported a 6-month-old baby missing, and then that baby was found dead, has been rescheduled for tomorrow. He was supposed to be in court today. Antonio Pierce now charged with murder in the death of Nakai Pratt. The child's mother also arrested and will appear in court tomorrow, too. Police say they're trying to figure out her involvement in the case. She's charged with obstruction and making false statements. As we take a look at the markets, the Dow right now is down 173 at 46,079. So the Dow's down slightly. NASDAQ also down, and the S&P's down almost 0.5%. Stacey Abrams, the New Georgia Project and its Action Fund are dissolving this week. The news comes after the organization faced serious legal problems in January. The State Ethics Commission levied their largest ever fine against the organization for charges that they were improperly registered and did not report millions in contributions. In a statement obtained by WSB, the group's board of directors saying that they hope for a future shaped by, quote, justice, truth, and active citizenship. A new place to get rid of expired or unwanted prescription medication. Gwinnett County has collection boxes now set up its police headquarters in every precinct in the county. They will be there from 8 until 4, where you can drop them off Monday through Friday.
People get their prescriptions and they potentially don't use all of them. They just have them laying around for months or years on end. They can become a hazard to small children or others getting into them and causing problems.
That's Corporal Ryan Winderweedle. He says it's an effort to help reduce the risk of prescription medication misuse, opioid addiction, and prevent medications from entering our water supply. Johnson Ferry Baptist Church assessing the damage following a fire at their chapel last night. They say nobody was injured, and all the church activities are continuing as normal today in other parts of that campus. In a statement, the senior pastor there, Clay Smith, says that they are grateful for the quick and skilled response. The cause of the fire under investigation. It's 12:32.
If you're hearing scratching, scampering, scurrying noises in your attic, you, my friends, have squirrels. It's Mark Aram here. Getting squirrels out of your home is challenging, and you certainly need an experienced pro to do the job right. Better get Breda to kick them out before those squirrely scoundrels start running an Airbnb in your attic for all the critters in your neighborhood. And those squirrels are not leaving without a fight. Trust me, they'll chew their way back in over and over again. You need the Breda Wildlife Guarantee to cover every entry point, old and new. The other guys only guarantee the entry point they seal, so each time that squirrel chews a new hole, it'll cost you hundreds of dollars more. The squirrels, trust me, will keep coming back, and so will Breda. Under the Breda Wildlife Guarantee, you stay protected and at no additional cost. Breda Pest Management, they handle bugs and critters like squirrels. BREDAPest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Cooler weather, shorter days, busy schedules, all great reasons to treat your family to a Bullfrog hot tub from Brown's Pools and Spas. The perfect place to relax and unwind. Only Bullfrog offers the Jetpack Therapy system. Each seat is customized to fit every body in your family. Now through October 20th, receive a free premium water care upgrade, up to $1,500 in instant rebates, plus special financing for up to 120 months. Brown's Pools and Spas, celebrating 50 years of BrownsPools.com.
Looking for your next great adventure? At Capital Investment Advisors, we know travel isn't just a vacation. It's a core pursuit that fuels happiness. In fact, research shows happy retirees pursue nearly twice as many adventure-related core pursuits as unhappy retirees. That's why we created 101 trips to take in retirement. A free guide with luxury escapes, wellness retreats, cultural immersions, and trips for the grandkids. Download your copy today at yourwealth.com/101 trips.
If your basement has any issues like condensation, wet floors and walls, or musty smells, that can be a sign that your home might be due for waterproofing. AquaGuard Foundation Solutions can help. Just visit aquaguard.net and set up a free inspection. Remember, AquaGuard.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. For the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather, Alex Williams.
Still watching this crash on the West Freeway, right lane blocked, I-20 eastbound past Fulton Industrial Boulevard, exit 49, slowing the ride out of Lithia Springs. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upward. Sunny skies today, high 81, lows tonight in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. A mix of sun and clouds on Saturday, high 82.
All right, we'll have more news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
At a CNN town hall last night, Bernie Sanders, the socialist senator from Vermont, declared Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia a quote-unquote good Republican. The Vermont senator, according to The Hill, suggested that elected Republicans are doing less of representing their district and their states than just swearing allegiance to the President of the United States. Quote, so I never thought that I would say this, but you have somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, you know what, if I was elected by my constituents, that's who I'm beholden to, not the President or the United States. So there are good Republicans out there. This comes as Marjorie Taylor Greene has taken the Democratic position against deportations, the Democratic position in favor of extending Obamacare COVID subsidies, and the Democratic position against involvement with Israel. Makes you wonder. Now, this gets to the Democrats and John Fetterman. There's a scoop from Axios. Holly Otterbein. The Democrats in Pennsylvania are maneuvering to run against John Fetterman in a 2028 primary contest, threatening to tear the party apart in the biggest battleground state in the nation. Democrats haven't flipped a GOP Senate seat since Fetterman did it in 2022. He's still popular with Pennsylvania voters, even as Democrats turn on him over his softened approach to Donald Trump. Potential Democratic challengers are already bashing Fetterman and each other. Some Democratic officials are openly contemplating running against Fetterman or keeping the door open to a Senate bid in the event he retires. Democrats who could run include Representative Brendan Boyle and Chris Deluzio and former Representative Connor Lamb. Boyle has been loudly critical of Fetterman on TV and social media, calling him Trump's favorite Democrat. Deluzio has been cultivating a national brand as a young populist leader from the Rust Belt. Connor Lamb won the praise of progressives like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for repeatedly attacking Fetterman, who beat Lamb in the 2022 Democratic primary. When asked, Fetterman texted, "Enjoy your clickbait." When asked a follow-up question, Fetterman said, "Please do not contact." You want to know the wild craziness of this? Do you know how often John Fetterman votes with Donald Trump? Any guesses? 6% of the time. 6% of the time, John Fetterman votes with Donald Trump. He's actually being attacked by a Pennsylvania congressman. That is Representative Chris Deluzio. Or I'm sorry, it's not Deluzio, it's Boyle, Brendan Boyle. Brendan Boyle has been referring to John Fetterman as Trump's favorite Democrat and accused him of going to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. John Fetterman votes with Donald Trump 6% of the time. Boyle votes with Donald Trump 14% of the time. The Democrat attacking John Fetterman actually votes with Donald Trump more than John Fetterman. Why, though? Why are they attacking Fetterman? Because it has everything to do with the Jews. John Fetterman has been denouncing anti-Semitism. John Fetterman has been stridently supportive of Israel. John Fetterman has been attacking the anti-Semitic hostility within the Democratic Party. And John Fetterman has been telling Democrats that they should probably stop calling Donald Trump a Nazi, given what he's been able to do getting the hostages released to Israel, and also that it is a strikingly incendiary rhetoric that is actually detached from reality. And because John Fetterman has the audacity to tell Democrats that maybe you shouldn't call the President of the United States Hitler, they want to throw him overboard. This gets to what I was talking about yesterday, that as the Democrats go further left, they're alienating more people in the center. The Democrats are cutting off their nose to spite their face, cutting off their legs with the voters. They're trying to align themselves with a fringe of the left that are anti-Semitic, rabid communists. Contrast this to Graham Planter. Graham Planter, you may not know him, but he is the Democrats' big pick in Maine to challenge Susan Collins. Graham Planter is the Democrats' preferred candidate to go after Susan Collins. But K-File, Andy Kaczynski at CNN, he's got the receipts on Graham Planter. This is from CNN. In one deleted comment in a thread about a black Army lieutenant who was held at gunpoint and pepper sprayed by police during a traffic stop, one Redditor user wrote, well, a pejorative, cops are the B word. Planter replied, all of them, in fact. Planter also frequently weighed in on police violence, arguing that misconduct was a problem that extends deep into the profession as a whole, and rejected claims of accidental shootings after incidents such as the killing of Detroit black man Daunte Wright, writing, F these cops. I can honestly say that was just me being an a-hole on the internet, Planter told CNN this week. I have an immense amount of friends who are police officers. They're not all the B word because they're literally buddies of mine. In another since-deleted post from 2020, Planter responded to a thread titled, White people aren't as racist or stupid as Trump thinks, by writing, living in white rural America, I'm afraid to tell you they actually are. When asked about the comment, Planter said he didn't recall the specific exchange, but suggested it reflected an argument we was having online at the time. I'm also a white guy, and I don't think I'm racist. I don't believe that. I'm sure I was just angry on the internet about the state of things back then. But wait, there's more. Planter also called himself a communist. This is Andrew Kaczynski, who did the report. This is his tweet. Let me read it to you. I spoke with Graham Planter about his deleted 2021 Reddit post. It's always Reddit, isn't it? Some were raw and angry, others deeply reflective. He called himself a communist, blasted all cops as the B word, and said rural Americans actually are racist and stupid. He says they don't reflect who he is today. I'm not a communist. I'm not a socialist. I own a small business. That was very much me effing around the internet. Other posts showed his disillusionment after 4 tours of duty. I'm a vegetable growing, psychedelics taking socialist these days, he once wrote. After the war, I stopped believing in the patriotic nonsense that got me here in the first place. Still got the guns, though. I don't trust the fascists to act politely. Planter said he still stands by some of the ideas, though not the tone of his old post. He continues to condemn the January 6 rioters, who he called traitors, effing morons, effing P-word, and a worthless P-word for supporting a coup attempt. And he's very much angry about the wars he fought in. It is difficult to see all that honor, as well as all the grift and corruption, and not find the entire thing utterly bankrupt, he wrote in one post. And he's not regretful of all of them. On musician Ted Nugent, he wrote, quote, as a combat veteran, that MFer makes me want to puke. Suck a D, Ted. To be fair, he told me, I'm not really regretful of that one. So he's regretful of the ones. Isn't this ironic? This guy, this star Democratic recruit, he's regretful of all the posts that could cause him problems in an election. He's not regretful of any of the ones that won't cost him an election. He's regretful of calling himself a communist and a socialist and a psychedelics user. He's not regretful of insulting Ted Nugent or Donald Trump. He's regretful of saying F the police. He's not regretful of saying F Donald Trump. There were many of these posts, all the same posts woven together. I regret that sentence, but I don't regret this sentence. Isn't that very convenient for him? This is a star Democratic recruit. The Democrats are going further and further left. The Democrats are pushing further and further off the deep end of the left. And they want to drive people like John Fetterman out of the party. They want to drive people like John Fetterman out of the party because John Fetterman is on the left, but not far left enough. John Fetterman votes with Donald Trump 6% of the time, and that's too much for the Democrats. In fact, some of the Democrats attacking John Fetterman from the House of Representatives and the Pennsylvania delegation, they vote with the Republicans more than John Fetterman votes with the Republicans. It's not his voting with or without Trump that they don't like. It's that he refuses to vilify his opponents. Fetterman had that stroke, and a lot of us on the right thought this is insane. Why are Pennsylvania voters sitting this guy? They covered him up. They covered for him. They didn't bring him out in public until it was too late. Once his condition was revealed in that debate with Dr. Oz, half the vote in Pennsylvania had already been cast. A lot of us on the right were, good Lord, went after his wife. I was critical of his wife. In fact, there's a lot to suggest that, his wife has kind of gone under the radar now, that maybe she was one of those on the left of the progressives that were amplifying Fetterman, and his staff now has left. His staff has attacked him, saying there's something wrong with him. What? The thing that's wrong with John Fetterman is he's not willing to attack Israel and the Jews. He's not willing to vilify the Republicans. He's not willing to hate. He experienced the hate from people as he was recovering from his stroke, and he's not willing to reciprocate to others. And that's why the Democrats hate him. They're okay with the man who said F the cops. They're okay with the man who said I'm a communist and then said I'm a socialist and then talked about his psychedelic drug use. They're okay with the man who said that all rural white voters are racist. They're okay with that guy. They're not okay with John Fetterman saying Republicans aren't Nazis and we shouldn't call them Nazis. They're not okay with John Fetterman saying the president's someone he can disagree with but still deal with. They're not okay with that, and that's part of the problem here, because most Americans, they don't particularly care for Donald Trump, but they despise the left. Donald Trump does have a popularity rating of less than 50% of this country. In the polling average, forget your beloved Rasmussen poll, in the polling average, which tends to be a better, accurate reflector of what's going on, less than 50% of Americans like Donald Trump. Less than 20% of Americans like the Democrats. This is why, again, I will say to you what I said yesterday. The Republicans should refuse to budge on the shutdown. And if it takes till November, it takes till November. Just go out there and keep saying, repeat the talking point over and over. We're voting to open the government. The Democrats are voting to keep it closed. That's all you have to say. We're voting to open the government. The Democrats are voting to keep it closed. We would like to open the government. The Democrats won't give us the votes needed to do so. Keep it on the Democrats. And when they finally cave and open the government and have gotten nothing for it, it's going to cause a frenzy on the left and push that party further to the left. We saw it on CNN last night. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders having the first big socialist town hall on CNN. Caitlin Collins asked point blank, are you going to challenge Chuck Schumer? And they were like, what? And Bernie Sanders like, I'll answer that for AOC. Let daddy talk for you, AOC. Let the white man speak for your political career, AOC. Yep, that was very progressive. The Democrats are lurching further and further left. And they have an American media that is amplifying them, that is enabling them, that is emboldening them, that is pushing them. They're all in this bubble together. They don't realize it, that the guardrails have come off them. You know, it reminds me as well, I saw a piece last night where it was progressives lamenting that the guardrails have come off, that there's nothing to stop Trump. And I thought, I played multiple times during Joe Biden's administration when they were going after Republicans that famous clip from the Man for All Seasons movie that if you chop down every tree to pursue the devil, when he stops and turns towards you, what'll protect you? If you chop down all the laws that have protected the devil, they protect you as well. And when you chop them all down to get to the devil, and the devil finally stops and turns around and there are no laws left to protect you, where will you hide? That's what happened with the Democrats. They can rejoice that in the comparison, Trump's the devil, but the point is the same. They cut down all of the laws to go after Donald Trump, and now Donald Trump has gotten reelected, and he stopped and turned and looks at them. Where will they go? Where will they stand? What will protect them from Donald Trump now that they've gutted all the laws that were protecting them from Donald Trump? They'll go further left. And in going further left, the American people will turn on them. There's something to be said for the Republicans in the shutdown effort just refusing to cooperate and give the Democrats anything, so that the Democrats are forced to reopen the government and getting nothing for it. And then watch the progressive base turn on the Democratic Party, just as they're turning on John Fetterman, for the audacity of funding the government that they've convinced themselves is the funding of Hitlering.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
1250 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still watching this crash on the West Freeway. Right lane blocked, I-20 eastbound past Fulton Industrial Boulevard, exit 49. That's why you're seeing the brake lights back into Lithia Springs. Over into Cobb County, you got that left lane construction, I-20 eastbound approaching Panola Road, exit 71. And if you're heading downtown, you're going to see some volume southbound, 7585 South 17th Street as you make your way past Georgia Tech. Traffic brought to you by Aleve. Traffic and body pain can slow you down, but don't let the pain stop you. With just one pill, Aleve provides up to 12 hours of pain relief so you can keep moving. Use as directed. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
The news of the day through the eyes of Eric Von Hessler.
This might help, young man. This might cure what ails you.
If it's on your mind, it's on his.
I run a stupid little radio show. I don't care. Have fun.
Eric Von Hessler, today at 3.
Your friend, Eric Von Hessler, the common sense host.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, with all the things we're reading, seeing, and living through these days, from rate cuts, election season, and now a new administration, now seems like a great time to make sure we have that comprehensive plan in place. You know, the one that covers all our financial bases.
There are occasions throughout the year where I feel like it's critical for people to engage their financial lives and get the information that they deserve from a financial advisory team. And this is one of those times, to be quite frank. So we ask that you call us if you have a minimum of $500,000 in your full portfolio. But we're going to do away with that minimum so that those folks can have an equal opportunity to understand what's in their portfolio as well. Now, you have to have some money, right? I can't help you to build your wealth at work, right? But I sure can help, I believe, with your 401k, IRA management. There's probably 2 or 3 things that'll surprise you that you may want to take action on. So the next 10 people that call in will work up either a portfolio x-ray, or if you feel like you need a full retirement plan, go to unleashyourmoney.com, click on portfolio x-ray, or click on full retirement plan. We think you'll be impressed enough, and we want you to become a client. There's no question about it. We believe that we are a very competent fiduciary advisory team, and we want to offer that to our listeners. Let Hoffman Financial Group actually show you how we perform, and I believe we perform at the pinnacle of this industry.
Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
More and more these days, people who are in pain are taking control of their health and looking beyond the traditional medicine. Hey, it's Mark here. That's why QC Kinetics is so successful. People with chronic joint pain are learning that there are other options besides steroids, meds, and surgery. Patients fighting pain are getting lasting relief using advanced cellular treatments. It's QC Kinetics regenerative medicine that can revitalize your joints using growth factors from your own body. And check it out, guys. It's a simple injection. No hospital stay. It's fast, all natural, and no downtime. I want you to call QC Kinetics and get a free consultation. Exercise your freedom to look beyond the same old solutions. Thousands of patients around the country finding a better life with QC Kinetics and their amazing regenerative treatments. Call now to get started. 770-285-8026. That's 770-285-8026. Appointments available on Saturdays. Lawrenceville, Sandy Springs, Marietta, Stockbridge, Decatur, and Douglasville.
Your non-stop news source. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Show. Catch it again in full with the Eric Erickson Show 24/7 live stream. Available at ericerickson.com. Stream enabled for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto.
Hello, America. Mitch McConnell has fallen in Washington, D.C. He appears to be okay. This is his last term in office. And I just, again, will have to say, as someone who was a longtime critic of his from the right, we would not have the Supreme Court we have today but for McConnell. The President of the United States may have nominated those individuals, but McConnell had to get them through the Senate. And if you ever paid attention to the leadership of Bill Frist or Trent Lott or Bob Dole, who preceded Mitch McConnell, you will understand that McConnell had the gumption to do what they themselves did not have the gumption to do. So his legacy will be one of a conservative Supreme Court, which, as an aside, I got to say, some of the remarks from Ketanji Brown Jackson, she's just not smart. And when you say that, you immediately get heckled by people on the left that you're a racist and you're saying it because she's not black. No, but I am saying it was Joe Biden himself who said he was essentially putting skin color ahead of competence. He wanted a diversity pick. Let's make no bones about it. Just based on Joe Biden's own characterization of Ketanji Brown Jackson's nomination, she's a diversity pick. He picked skin color over brains, and she's an idiot. There were plenty of qualified non-white applicants for that job, but he wanted the easiestly confirmed possible one. She happened to be in the D.C. Circuit, and he wanted to elevate her to the Supreme Court, and she adds nothing of value. She actually compared the Voting Rights Act to the Americans with Disabilities Act, suggesting somehow that black voters are disabled and needed actual additional help in voting. She is she's there to toe the progressive line. Who cares what the law says? She certainly doesn't even appear to know the law. She's just not a good pick. And behind the scenes, a lot of Democrats will admit it, but up front and in person, they'll scream that you're racist for daring to criticize her. It has nothing to do with the skin color. That's why Joe Biden picked her, though, and he said as much. The problem is not her skin color. The problem is her brains, of which I'm not yet sure she has any. Now, we have to move on. I need to tell you about Swiss America. They've been warning people about a secret war on cash for some time, and they would love to give you their free report on the secret war on cash. I got an email from a listener yesterday who was asking me, what exactly is this whole secret war on cash thing? Well, if you go to a lot of grocery stores now, you go to a lot of restaurants in particular, a lot of businesses there no longer take cash. And, you know, cash is legal tender in this country, but the government allows businesses to stop taking cash, and they prioritize plastic because they want to control your money. They want to see where you're spending your money. They want to get into your business. And it's harder and harder to just use cash. That is a secret war on cash. It even applies to crypto. Swiss America wants to help you protect your finances. It makes it very easy. You can get the report. It takes less than 15 minutes to read. You call or text 800-289-2646. Just mention Eric, E-R-I-C-K, when you call or text 800-289-2646, or go to SwissAmerica.com/Eric, SwissAmerica.com/ERICK, or 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
When the news matters to you.
The massive project at 285 and Georgia 400 has been a big improvement.
95.5 WSB has you covered.
The latest incident comes when a SWAT team is called after a suspect.
Your 24/7 news
They
source.
had no ties to a gang.
When you need the story, all you need to do is listen. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's breaking news station.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Hey, I am Brant, and her name is Sherry, and she's a friend and a colleague of mine, and we were just praying for her, actually, because she had a major surgery she just went through.
Yes, and I am very happy about something you actually talk about all the time, which is Medi-Share. That's
of
right,
course.
yeah.
So what was your experience like with Medi-Share and your healthcare bills?
You know what? It was seamless. And that's such a blessing when you're already nervous about a health issue, which I was.
Yeah.
Members shared my expenses. There were zero problems. And let me tell you, having people pray with you when you call in and it's just what you need, it's so refreshing.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling people. People love Medi-Share and saving tons of money. The typical family, I'm fond of saying, could save $500 a month.
I am so thankful for Medi-Share. It's so different, and I mean different in a very, very good way, Brant.
It is a good different. Call right now. They're so easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number, 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB. Atlanta's news and talk.
It is 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Dr. Roof. The New Georgia Project, a once prominent progressive political group, closing down after a decade of work.
In a statement obtained by WSB, the group's board of directors says they hope others will continue to work to support the values of justice, integrity, and equity, which have guided them since their founding in 2013. The group, started by two-time gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, has faced internal struggles in recent years. In January, they were ordered to pay a $300,000 fine to the State Ethics Commission for improper registration and failing to disclose millions in contributions. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
Thank you, Jonathan. Sunny today, staying warm, highs around 81, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. She'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up in just a matter of minutes. A Metro Atlanta man is arrested in Indiana after leading state police on a chase with 2 children in his vehicle. 35-year-old Michael Tapia of Ackworth was clocked going 115 miles an hour on I-65 when officers tried to stop him, but he kept going. He finally pulled over and was arrested. Tapia is charged with resisting law enforcement with a vehicle and reckless driving. The children were released to their mother, who lives in Indiana. The court appearance for the Clayton County father of a 6-month-old baby found dead has been rescheduled now for tomorrow. Antonio Pierce is charged with the murder and the death of his 6-month-old son, Nakai Pratt. The child's mother, Nicolette, has also been arrested and will appear in court tomorrow. Police say they're trying to figure out her involvement in the case. She is charged with obstruction and making false statements as of now. Help is on the way for low-income Georgians when it comes to their natural gas bills. This is all new here at 1 o'clock. The Georgia Public Service Commission is releasing $5 million for energy assistance to customers this winter. $2.5 million will go to customers already in their senior discount program. They'll get a one-time credit of $194, and that will show up on their November bill. Another $12 million will be distributed to HopeWorks, which is a nonprofit that assists in repairing or replacing gas furnaces and water heaters. And then the final $500,000 will be going to the Salvation Army Utility Assistance Program. Let's take a look at the markets. We're in the red right now. The Dow's down slightly. NASDAQ also in the red, and so is the S&P. It's 102.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier, the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging's LDCT body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
It's essential, complicated, and if it breaks, you could have a disgusting mess. Hi, I'm Shannon, owner of Scorpion Septic, and the experts you hear on the Home Fix-It Show. Slow drains, gurgling sounds, or pooling water and odors in the yard? Don't ignore these symptoms. Call us today.
Take the sting out of septic service with Scorpion Septic, where there is never a pump-out charge with your repair. Call for more information.
Ooh, it's back. The Fall Bridal Event for one weekend only, October 24th through 26th at D. Geller & Son Jewelers. It's Katie Kiley from my great friends at D. Geller & Son, and they'll be bringing you the biggest diamond engagement and wedding event of the year. Up to $3,000 off with an appointment. 36 months, 0% APR financing, and free travel bans. October 24th through 26th at D. Geller & Son in Kennesaw and Sandy Springs. Make an appointment at dgeller.com.
At Coosa Valley Credit Union, we believe in the power of human connection. When you call us or stop in a location, you're always greeted by a real person who's friendly and ready to make your banking experience stress-free. This is Andy Harris. If you're tired of automated tellers, come see us at Coosa Valley Credit Union.
Dave Baker for Beaver Toyota of Cumming. Looking for a new truck and looking for a great deal? Simply go to beavertoyotacumming.com/Dave's Deals and save money on a new Toyota Tundra. The Toyota Tundra from Beaver Toyota of Cumming is the official truck of the Home Fix-It Show.
Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Crash still in the right lane on the West Freeway, 20 eastbound before I-285 exit 51. Still watching those brake lights back to Thornton Road there in Lithia Springs. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upward. Sunny skies today, high 81, lows tonight in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. A mix of sun and clouds on Saturday, high 82.
It is 76 degrees right now in Tucker. Johns Creek has 76 degrees. And here in Midtown Atlanta, we are at 79 right now on Peachtree Street. We'll have more news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Mark Arrow.
I bet the show is more enjoyable.
Local.
Hormel Food expected to lay off about 135 employees from the facility they have over in Tucker.
Topical.
That surprised me. Hormel, I thought they'd be hiring.
Mark Arrow.
Really a game changer.
Tomorrow at 9 a.m.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
1-0, all engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program? I had a funny thing happen yesterday. So I have been critical of the Pentagon's new media rules. And a listener of this program came after me on social media yesterday because of a post Sean Davis, I think, from The Federalist had put up about those media rules. And essentially the guy told me I was lying. And my response to him was our Fox News and Newsmax and the Washington Times and the Washington Examiner line. Because one person on the internet says they're wrong. Are they wrong because you trust the one person? And I know and like Sean, but I disagree with him on this issue. Eric Wimple actually breaks down the rules from the Pentagon and why I think the Pete Hegseth has bitten off more than he can chew here. Let me just give you an example of this. The old rule for the media. This is the existing rule. 1, building passes must be visible and worn above the waist at all times while in the Pentagon. 2, lost passes should be immediately reported. 3, be alert for suspicious activity and immediately report any unusual activity and or circumstances to the Pentagon Force Protection Agency. 4, ensure office doors are locked and property is secured while exiting your office. 5, I understand that everyone entering the building is subject to random inspection. 6. I understand that a property pass is required to remove property from the building that is not readily identifiable as personal. Property passes may be obtained during normal working hours. 7. Pentagon Force Protection Agency authorizes media members who are U.S. citizens access to the Pentagon 24 hours a day and affords escort privileges for visiting media members from the same media outlet who possess appropriate credentials. 8. Pentagon Force holders escorting other media members must stay with their visitor at all times. 9. I understand that Pentagon Force Protection Agencies, the people are extended as a courtesy to media members who work full-time in the Pentagon and who visit at least 3 times a month. Or rather, I understand that credentials are extended as a courtesy. 10. I have been briefed on the security requirements and abide by the provisions of the above. So you have access to the building. There, you can't take anything out of the building unless it's your personal property. You must be escorted at certain times, and there are parts of the building you're not allowed to go in. That's it. It's one-page paper. The new rules are 21 pages long. 21 pages. One of the things that he expressed concern about is reporters walking around the building unescorted. Yep, I would say I have a concern. And so now in this general security provision says members of the news media do not possess a legal right to access the Pentagon. Rather, such access is a privilege subject to the discretion of government authorities and is regulated by federal law and Department of War policy. Legally, the press has no greater right of access than the public. While members of the news media may be granted access under certain conditions, this is a privilege extended by the government and not a constitutionally protected right. Now they've got new badges. If the news media require access to certain portions of the Pentagon for in-person interviews, they've got to be escorted to and from the places. Civilian employees or contractors, members of the news media, are not required to submit their writings to the Department of War for approval. However, they should understand the Department of War personnel may face adverse consequences for unauthorized disclosures. Also, by the way, you can't talk to people without prior permission now. Here's one of the big sections here. Let me just read you Eric Wimple's commentary on it. These new lines present a particularly troubling set of problems for Pentagon correspondents and their news organizations because they target journalistic inquiry. Reporters ask for information all the time and in many different ways. What is the difference, for example, between the new policy called solicitation and a journalist asking what's going on in the Secretary's office? Tim Parlatore, a special advisor to Pete Hegseth, said the stricture applies only when the journalist crosses the line to asking defense officials to violate criminal statutes, but that's not actually what it says. The receipt of unsolicited information and its subsequent publication is generally protected by the First Amendment and would not on its own normally trigger denial, revocation, or non-renewal of a Pentagon press badge. However, if you solicit the disclosure of such information or otherwise encourage Department of War personnel to violate laws and policies concerning the disclosure of certain information, such conduct may weigh in consideration of whether you pose a security or safety risk. There is a critical distinction between lawfully requesting information from the government and actively soliciting or encouraging government employees to break the law. The First Amendment does not permit journalists to solicit government employees to violate the law by providing confidential government information. And on it goes. Here's the problem. What if you don't? What if they offer it to you? Many times there are lots of leaks inside the Pentagon that come from unsolicited reporters. The sources within the Pentagon go to the reporters. Well, based on this, the reporters, by publishing it, could lose their access to the Pentagon, even though the individual reporters didn't solicit it. We've gone from 1 page to 25 pages. What the defenders of the policy now are saying is this is all about access to the building, that you don't have free range to roam the building. They've never had access, contrary to what the claim is, they've never actually had access in the past to roam the whole building. There are certain areas of the Pentagon. If you don't know, if you look at a diagram of the Pentagon is a series of, for lack of a better word, rings, even though they're in the shape of a pentagon. And they're A, B, C, D, E, the rings of the Pentagon. And you have a series of corridors within those rings that you're not supposed to go. And that's always been the case. And what the Pentagon, what the proponents of this now argue is that, well, we're just restricting access of where you can go and who you can talk to. You shouldn't be able to bother people, and that would be fine. But as implemented, the way it's actually read gives a lot broader power to the government than they've ever had before. And while I certainly think that the press can abuse the information, while I certainly believe that the press can overstep the bounds, essentially the way this is broadened is if you, a reporter, do a story based on sources at the Pentagon that the Secretary of Defense doesn't like, you can get booted from the building as a potential threat to national security. Now, before you Republicans rush to defend Pete Hegseth on this, what if the next Secretary of Defense comes in and is a Democrat and says, "Yep, we're gonna apply the same thing," and when Fox News reports on something that has happened with a woke Joint Chiefs based on sources from the Pentagon, we're going to boot that guy because he talked to sources who are in the Pentagon who are unhappy with the woke Joint Chiefs, and we're going to boot them. The current policy has worked just fine. The needless antagonism, and I think that's probably my larger problem here. One, it's not necessary. Two, it does provide way too much breadth. And for those of you who are like, no, I read in the Federalist or I ran at OAN, Newsmax and Fox News and Real Clear Politics and the Washington Examiner and the Washington Times, all of which are unimpeachably conservative, have said they're not going to comply either. They're simply not going to comply, and they're not going to participate. And I'm sorry that if you, for some reason, bizarrely think that that we should defend Pete Hegseth and everything he does, and you've got major conservative outlets saying, nope, can't do it. You got Brett Baer saying this is a bridge too far. I'm sorry, but your willingness to defend indefensible is no better than the left's willingness to defend the indefensible on their side, and you're not an intellectually honest person. You're just a tribal follower. You're not even a leader. You're a follower. And the problem here is this for the president. There is clearly an uptick in activity off the coast of Venezuela. And there is clearly an uptick in the blowing up of boats leaving Venezuela. And there are people, including those inside the military, who believe that these are drug operations that are not an active war operation, but a criminal operation. All major press outlets from left to right have now walked out of the Pentagon. They refuse to comply with this new policy. Who do you think they're going to be getting their stories from? They're not going to stop covering the Pentagon. Who do you think we're going to get the stories from now? We're going to get the stories from the people who really believe that there is unconstitutional action happening in the Caribbean. We're going to get the story from the people who don't like the president. We're going to get the story from the deep state sources. All Pete Hegseth has done is now allowed the amplified voices of the deep state who don't like this administration to begin to sabotage this administration as it begins to reinforce the Monroe Doctrine in the Western Hemisphere. Because you're going to get the military sources, if the press doesn't sign this 21-page document, the Pentagon sources are not going to talk to them on the record. The only people who are going to talk are off the record, and those people are going to be people with access to grind against the president. And so what Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon have done, they've now structured a press relationship that is designed to make this administration look bad at a time this administration has changed military policy in the Caribbean for the better, at a time this administration has decided to treat the narco traffickers as not criminals, but as people at war with the United States. A major shift in American policy is happening right now, and along comes Pete Hegseth to say, you know what, we're not going to talk to you guys in the press anymore unless you sign this document that fundamentally changes how you've operated inside the Pentagon for the last 50 years. And Fox News and Newsmax and the Washington Examiner and the Washington Times and Real Clear Politics, which have great conservative reporters, are all saying, we're not signing this. Neither is the New York Times or the Washington Post or CNN or NBC or ABC or CBS or PBS. It's not just outlets on the left, it's outlets on the right. They're all saying, other than OAN and a couple of conservative bloggers, everybody else is saying, nope, we're not going to sign this. So the propagandists, the actual conservative propagandists, are signing it. The actual journalistic institutions of the left and the right are saying, we're not going to sign it. So who are their sources going to be? If the Pentagon's not going to talk to you, if you're not going to sign the document, the only people who are going to talk to you are the people with access to grind against Donald Trump. Pete Hegseth, by taking a one-page document and turning it into a 21-page document full of legalese and restrictions that they've never had before, has now amplified the voices of the deep state who hate Donald Trump at a time the president is fundamentally shaking up American military policy in the Caribbean. And so the American people are going to learn from people who have access to grind on background about those policies, and it's fundamentally going to undermine what is actually a very good policy of the president, but it's going to undermine it because Pete Hegseth has now structured a relationship with the press that has become toxic because he's demanding of them essentially control of their editorial process. It's not just, contrary to what the conservative propagandists say, about where they can go in the building. It's who they can talk to, when they can talk to them, how they can talk to them, and what stories they can report. And when Fox News and Newsmax and the Washington Times and the Washington Examiner and Real Clear Politics say, this is too far for us, this is not about the left-wing media. This is about getting you fair and accurate stories. Pete Hegseth sought to shape the narrative, and he is now ensured it's going to be shaped by the people who hate the president.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
121 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Better news on the West Freeway. That crash 20 eastbound past Fulton Industrial Boulevard, exit 49, has been moved off to the right. Still slow out of Lithia Springs, but hopefully those delays will start to improve. Looking for new trouble, 85 southbound heading into Midtown below Georgia 400. And that police activity on the North Crest Road access ramp to I-85 northbound, that is all wrapping up. Those lanes are reopening. Traffic brought to you by King's Hawaiian Sliders. Eli Manning reminds you there's nothing like football in King's Hawaiian Sliders. King's Hawaiian Sliders make you a winner on game day. Pick them up this weekend in the bakery or deli section of your grocery store. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
All the notifications you need.
The story developing in Marietta.
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
We're following breaking news in Atlanta.
All in one place.
The 95.5 WSB app.
Download it today.
You're ready for a new deck, but don't know where to start. You can DIY, use an unlicensed chuck in a truck, an overpriced luxury designer, or you can choose us. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors, and we do decks differently. We build beautiful, high-end decks at a reasonable price with lots of options. We're licensed and insured. We'll work with the materials you choose and stay within your budget. Call Nelson Exteriors for an extraordinary deck renovation. Google Nelson Exteriors.
This is Andy Harris, president of Coosa Valley Credit Union, inviting you to come see us for your auto loan needs. If you're buying a car or refinancing your current auto loan, at Coosa Valley Credit Union, you'll get one of the lowest interest rates in the market, as low as 3.49 APR when you open an account with a direct deposit. Coosa Valley Credit Union is local and nearby in Northwest Georgia. Plus, you'll always speak to a real person when dealing with us. That's what we call kinder banking.
Contact 706-235-8551 for more details. Equal opportunity lender.
Hey, this is Mark Aaron for Rocco's European Garage, where I've been taking my car for service and repair for years. If you own a Benz, Beamer, Porsche, or Audi and want your vehicle serviced right, quickly, and for good value, go to Rocco's European Garage. Their certified techs will pamper your vehicle like it's their own, and their work won't void your car's warranty. Pricing better value than the dealership, and they won't try to oversell you on what your car needs. Take your car to one of the 6 convenient locations or online, roccoseuropeangarage.com.
I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but the cold air is coming fast. That means a couple different things to me and you. Energy bills will be rising and company coming over for the holidays. Dan Watkins here with All Four Seasons Garage, entry doors, and windows. It's time to get your house ready for the winter air and your holiday visitors. The good news is that we have you covered for every opening in your home. So call us today to set up a free estimate with one of our amazing sales consultants. They'll help you pick out the perfect garage door, front door, and windows for your home.
Scott Slade here to talk to you about your health, and I think it's real important to talk about what is most likely to kill you. Heart disease is the #1 killer of Americans, and the older we get, the more prevalent it is. But you can reduce your risk. Eat right, don't smoke, exercise, and be informed about what's going on in your own body. Like lots of potentially serious health problems, if you catch heart disease early, you vastly increase your chances of living a longer life. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging scans take less than 10 minutes and screen with 98% accuracy for heart disease. Other scans, including brain and full body, are available too. Virtual imaging is locally owned and operated in Atlanta for over 15 years, so they can make you this terrific offer. A complimentary heart scan for you and your spouse with a few minimum requirements. So don't put this off. I've done it. Call Virtual Imaging today for your free heart scan. 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-7226. Or visit their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Hey, I am Brant, and her name is Sherry, and she's a friend and a colleague of mine, and we were just praying for her, actually, because she had a major surgery she just went through.
Yes, and I am very happy about something you actually talk about all the time, which is Medi-Share. That's
of
right,
course.
yeah.
So what was your experience like with Medi-Share and your healthcare bills?
You know what? It was seamless. And that's such a blessing when you're already nervous about a health issue, which I was.
Yeah.
Members shared my expenses. There were zero problems. And let me tell you, having people pray with you when you call in and it's just what you need, it's so refreshing.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling people. People love Medi-Share and saving tons of money. The typical family, I'm fond of saying, could save $500 a month.
I am so thankful for Medi-Share. It's so different, and I mean different in a very, very good way, Brant.
It is a good different. Call right now. They're so easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number, 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
You may not agree with him, but he tells you the truth. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
I have some breaking news for all of you. That's right. I have breaking news. I shall read for you what the President of the United States has just put on social media. I have just concluded my telephone conversation with President Vladimir Putin of Russia, and it was a very productive one. President Putin congratulated me and the United States on the great accomplishment of peace in the Middle East, something that, he said, has been dreamed of for centuries. I actually believe that the success of the Middle East will help in our negotiation in attaining an end to the war with Russia-Ukraine. President Putin thanked the First Lady, Melania, for her involvement with children. He was very appreciative and said that this will continue. We also spent a great deal of time talking about trade between Russia and the United States when the war with Ukraine is over. At the conclusion of the call, we agreed that there will be a meeting of our high-level advisors next week. The United States' initial meetings will be led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, together with various other people to be designated. A meeting location is to be determined. President Putin and I will then meet in an agreed-upon location in Budapest, Hungary, to see if we can bring this inglorious war between Russia and Ukraine to an end. President Zelensky and I will be meeting tomorrow in the Oval Office, where we will discuss my conversation with President Putin and much more. I believe great progress was made with today's telephone conversation. That is the President of the United States announcing he has spoken with Vladimir Putin and will travel to Budapest in Hungary to meet with Vladimir Putin to discuss peace in Ukraine. He will be meeting with President Zelensky in the Oval Office tomorrow. See if he can keep on a roll bringing peace to the world. Now, let me bring peace to you in your business operations. If you're frustrated with your managed IT service, you can talk to Vision Computers and you'll be talking to real people, not AI chatbots. Anybody nationwide can take advantage of this. Call them at 404-COMPUTE or go to visioncomputers.com. Tell them I sent you. Call them at 404-COMPUTE and say I sent you. Save a little more money. Vision Computers is headquartered in Atlanta, but it doesn't matter. They work with companies all over the nation. Your employees actually get a special phone number they call. They don't have to do AI chatbots and email tickets when they got computer problems. They pick up the phone, and in 15 seconds or less, they get an answer to their needs faster than a Google search. Someone answers the phone and helps them. They can even remote in if need be. They can keep you up to date. They can help you with email, printer support, you name it. They're very, very good and very, very reasonably priced. They can save your company some money and keep you online and up to date. And they can also help you if you're in the gig economy, just you, but you need help keeping yourself online and up to date. Vision can help you. Just $199 a year per computer. Tell them Eric sent you. You might save some more money. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. What do you have to lose? You're not going to talk to an AI chatbot. You're not going to have to do email tickets. You get a phone number. You call. A person actually answers in 15 seconds or less and helps you. We have Vision with our house, and my gosh, I haven't had to be IT support for my kid in quite a while. 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. When we come back, the Great Socialist Gathering on CNN.
In Atlanta, there is always something happening.
Tanker truck crashed into the median.
The Triple Team Traffic Center has you covered.
No traffic getting through in either direction.
Helping you on your commute.
Avoid the area at all costs. Take Highway 155 or Highway 4223.
Brought to you by the Cool Ray Lifetime Parts and Labor Warranty.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It is 1:30. Good afternoon. I'm Sabrina Cupid. This news is sponsored by Ben Hill Renovation. This is new this afternoon. The Georgia Public Service Commission planning to release $5 million for energy assistance to low-income customers in Georgia this winter. Georgia Public Service Commissioner Fitz Johnson telling us.
Winter's coming. And we know it's coming, and we've got to do something to help our underserved.
Now, $2.5 million will go to customers already in the senior discount program. They're going to be getting a one-time credit of $194 on their November bill. Another $2 million will be distributed to HopeWorks. That's a nonprofit that assists in repairing or replacing gas furnaces and gas water heaters. The final $500,000 going to the Salvation Army Utility Assistance Program. The commission will officially vote on the release of the funds on Tuesday. Your weather for today: sunny skies and warm. Afternoon highs around 81, says WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. She'll have Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast straight ahead. The New Georgia Project and its action fund dissolving this week. The news comes after the organization faced some serious legal problems. In January, the State Ethics Commission levied their largest ever fine against the organization for charges they were improperly registered and did not report millions in contributions. In a statement obtained by WSB News, the group's board of directors tells us that they hope for a future shaped by justice, truth, and active citizenship. There was a fire at Johnson Ferry Baptist Church last night. It was in the old sanctuary. Firefighters quickly contained that blaze. No injuries reported. And according to the Instagram account, all activities are continuing today as planned there at Johnson Ferry Baptist Church. In Gwinnett County, they've just installed on-site prescription medication collection boxes at police headquarters and at every precinct in the county there in Gwinnett. Residents can drop off expired or unwanted pills, tablets, capsules, even liquid medication. You can do that Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. It's an effort to help reduce the risk of prescription medication misuse, opioid addiction, and also to prevent medications from entering our water supply. Let's take a look at the markets. The Dow down 84 at 46,168. NASDAQ is up only slightly, and the S&P is in the red. It's 132.
Fall is a busy time and selling your home can be overwhelming. Get a guaranteed cash offer from Mark Spain Real Estate and sell your home stress-free and for the most money. Hi, it's Chris Chandler. With Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer, you can receive the strongest cash offer in the industry and move when you're ready. Mark Spain Real Estate has more than 13,000 five-star reviews, so you can trust the top real estate team in the U.S. to sell your home quickly and for maximum profit. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing.
Cooler weather, shorter days, busy schedules, all great reasons to treat your family to a Bullfrog hot tub from Brown's Pools and Spas. The perfect place to relax and unwind. Only Bullfrog offers the Jetpack Therapy system. Each seat is customized to fit every body in your family. Now through October 20th, receive a free premium water care upgrade, up to $1,500 in instant rebates, plus special financing for up to 120 months. Brown's Pools and Spas, celebrating 50 years of BrownsPools.com.
The foods we eat can be downright bad for our health. This is Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've been teaching the truth about real bread. Not the stuff you buy at the store. I'm talking real bread made with freshly milled flour. When you buy bread from the store, take a look at the ingredients. Enriched flour means that the nutritious bran and germ has been removed to improve the shelf life. Then a few B vitamins and iron are added back to replace the multitude of nutrients lost. That's not enrichment in my book. And today, that label may even read contains bioengineered food ingredients. Food should never be bioengineered. At Bread Beckers in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real bread loaded with fiber and nutrients. A delicious, healthy, affordable solution that can improve your health and change your life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Squirrels in your attic are not leaving without a fight. Scott Slade here. You need the Breda Wildlife Guarantee. It covers every entry point, old and new. Other companies only guarantee the entry point they seal. So each time that squirrel chews a new hole, and they will, it'll cost you hundreds more. But under the Breda Wildlife Guarantee, you stay protected at no additional cost.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
All right, live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams.
Long-standing crash still in that right lane on the West Freeway, I-20 eastbound past Fulton Industrial Boulevard, and packing into the downtown southbound from the 85-400 merge as you make your way down past Georgia Tech and the Varsity. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards. Mostly sunny today, high 81, clear and cool tonight, lows in the mid-50s.
We'll have more news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
Sharp analysis, cutting through the chaos, giving unfiltered takes on politics, culture, and faith. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
Hello, my friends. It is Erick Erickson here across the United States. Delighted to have you with me. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you want to be on the program, don't forget to text Erick, E-R-I-C-K, if you want to be on the program. So the Democrats, they've got their No Kings protest this weekend. And just so you understand, the No Kings protests are actually funded by a number of billionaires around the country. And they have been places for the white woke progressives to go to denounce their fellow countrymen who see the world differently from them. And I want to play you just how defensive they're starting to get here. On Morning Joe this morning, Joe Scarborough and Jeanne Shaheen, the senator from New Hampshire, were defending the No Kings protests. And I found it very funny.
Talking points. Talking points where they are trying to call Chuck Schumer and Democratic leaders violent, trying to call Democrats violent. Tom Evers in a press conference called them terrorists. These peaceful protests that happened before, you even had earlier Jonathan Martin talking about how most of them were like the NPR tote bag carrying crowd. But the fact that they're trying to whip people into a frenzy, and especially here we are several weeks after the horrible violence, the tragedy committed against Charlie Kirk. to be calling peaceful protesters, people have already protested last year, peaceful protesters, calling them terrorists, saying they're violent, and proudly. Now, they are...
That's Scarborough. This is Jeanne Shaheen, the senator.
For women's rights, people who were marching against the war in Vietnam, peaceful protests to say we want to exercise what is a foundation of our democracy and our Constitution, the right of freedom to assembly, to peacefully protest if we disagree with the policies of this country, and for the Speaker of the House and other Republican leaders to say that this is all about hating America is a lack of understanding of what America is all about.
You know, we're going to see for ourselves the way this thing plays out, and I just don't think it's going to go well for the Democrats, the stuff that we see. John Fetterman was talking on News Nation. They had an interesting conversation. You know, last night you had the Socialism Fest on CNN with Caitlin Collins, AOC, and Bernie Sanders. You had John Fetterman and Stephen A. Smith growing his public political profile. This is from the conversation with John Fetterman on News Nation last night, which, interestingly enough, is growing in ratings and continuing to outperform CNN and MSNBC, in large part because the conversations are way more thoughtful and it's way less skewed either left or right.
Well, if you're thinking about winning the election, and so now that's all going to come down to 7 or 8 states. And that's really that matters. And I would like to remind everybody, because we all know that Trump ran the table, all of those kinds of states. And now you can't ever forget, these are the states that are going to determine who's going to be the next administration. And now a lot of the things, the extremism that people turned their back in 24, and that's how we kind of came up short. I campaigned for thousands and thousands of miles across Pennsylvania for Vice President Harris. And it was going to be incredibly difficult. You could just feel the energy there. And people really have connected there at a very fundamental level. And that's what I tried to explain to my party. And I'm trying to explain to the party right now. It's like, this is why we lost. And this is where we need to be to continue to win for these things. And there are parts of extreme things emerging clearly on those things. And that's why I refuse to follow that, even if that is going to cost me support in parts of the base.
Do you think Harris could have gotten a deal with Hamas?
You brought up a good point. I think I was the only Democrat early on to give President Trump credit for the peace deal.
Yeah, he was. And extremism is a problem, and yet they're going super extreme now. This is from, before we get to last night on CNN, let me play you this from Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, this morning, talking about what happened last night on CNN.
You saw it. CNN hosts the first socialist town hall where Bernie Sanders and AOC said the quiet parts out loud. They don't know what they want to end the shutdown. They couldn't provide a single viable solution for the mess that they themselves have gleefully created. And by the way, those are the real leaders of the Democrat Party. We all know it, AOC and Bernie. Good luck with that.
Yeah, they really are. And now let me play you some of the Socialist Fest last night. This is the viral clip that has made everybody laugh today.
Rivers in rural areas were on fire because of corporations poisoning the people who lived in those areas. Poor middle-class communities getting poisoned and dumped on by corporations like Deloitte and 3M, pouring chemicals into these places. And they want to call it a Democratic priority.
Deloitte and 3M. Deloitte is an accounting firm, just so you know. I think she meant maybe DuPont or something. I don't know, but she said Deloitte and 3M. She lumped them together. It's an accounting firm. She also said this. Get a load of this one.
And so in order for us to fight back against that, we must be clear about what we believe, have strong beliefs, and also be completely unwilling to bow to that kind of division and stand in solidarity with one another, especially when it is someone whose culture is different from ours or whose background we may not entirely understand, but that we honor, love, and see as our fellow American.
Right. Okay. The problem here is she believes Republicans do well online because they view women as inferior and the LGBTQ community as subhuman, and that's why Republicans are doing well online. You want to know why they actually, Bernie Sanders believes Republicans are doing well online? Listen to this.
And appealing to audiences, especially young people like myself, online using social media. Why does Republican messaging on social media seem so much more effective than Democratic messaging, and what can we do about it?
Well, that's a great question. I think the Republicans are effective. They have learned a lot about social media. And by the way, it doesn't hurt that their friends own all of the major social media platforms. You know, Bezos owns Twitter or X. Zuckerberg owns Meta, Facebook, and Instagram. Mr. Ellison is going to own you pretty soon. I think he's going to take over CNN, not to mention CBS. So these guys have, you know, they can use algorithms to help themselves. But to answer your question, look, it gets back to something that I have been talking about, Alexandria, others have been talking about. What does the Democratic Party stand for? And I think messaging becomes easy when you're prepared to stand up and fight the right fights. And what is the right fight? At a time when the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 93%, and the rich are getting richer while working families are struggling, you tell me what the issue is. And the issue is whether you stand with the working class of this country or with wealthy campaign contributors. And we're seeing more and more Democrats around the country, by the way, beginning to understand that.
But to her
You know, what's so funny there is for Bernie Sanders to talk about wealthy contributors when the Democrats have what the Soroses, they got most of Hollywood. The majority of billionaires in this country actually back the Democratic Party. That is a fact. You can't dispute the fact. And yet they hang on to this bashing of wealthy campaign contributors as if that's why the right is doing well. And, oh, the right does well online because the right is helped by Bezos and by Zuckerberg and by Musk. That's not exactly why the Republicans are doing well. They're just coming to office more normal than the progressives who left Twitter, who fled Twitter to Blue Sky, to their protective bubble. And there's this bit from AOC.
And they are able to radicalize and target and exploit a generation of young boys, in particular, away from healthy masculinity and into an insecure masculinity that requires the domination of others who are poorer, browner, darker, or a different gender than them. And that is why they are resonating online, because they are appealing to the most basest and worst parts of human nature to divide.
That's our thoughts on Republicans. And, you know, interestingly enough, CNN panned to the crowd. I wish we had visual radio here so you could see it. They panned to the crowd. Two women. They were, one looked Asian, one Hispanic. And they were just nodding along with AOC. Yes, this is true. Toxic masculinity. You know what? Democrats define essentially any masculinity as toxic. If you're a guy doing guy things, you're toxic. It really, the AOC's view of masculinity is, I do think that the only non-toxic masculine people she finds are the men willing to put tampons in their rectum so they know what it feels like to be a woman of some kind. I think that's really it. If you're not willing to yourself as a man use tampons, you're not actually a good man. You're a toxically masculine. You go to the gym and you lift weights. Remember, MSNBC had that story last year that men who lift weights tend to be Republicans, and the throwing of weights around at the gym is symbolic of the toxic masculinity of the GOP. If you got any testosterone at all, you're bad. You're bad. Now, I do have to play you this clip. This is Caitlin Collins again with Bernie Sanders and AOC jumping in on the question of, is AOC going to challenge Chuck Schumer? This is how it went down.
Something so inane and silly instead of actually worrying about his own constituents who are suffering at the hands of his leadership.
But are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
I mean,
All right.
no.
Let me jump in on this one. This is what
we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking
This is what we're
about. You have a country that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, massive income and wealth inequality, a corrupt campaign finance system, and the media says, "Oh, you're going to run. What are you going to run for?" Nobody cares. So one more time.
Nobody cares. It's the House Speaker and President Trump and the Vice President saying it.
Right.
Pardon?
Well, of course, they're saying it to deflect attention away from the real issue.
Exactly.
And here, let me tell you what the real issue is. Let's see if CNN talks about it. We're living in the richest country in the history of the world, right? All right, you tell me why we're the only nation not to guarantee health care to all people, the only nation not to guarantee paid family and medical leave, why we have a $7.25 an hour minimum wage, why we have 800,000 people sleeping out on the street, why we have a president who denies the reality of climate change, why we have oligarchs on top who have more and more power every day. Let's talk about that issue, not her own political future. She'll decide that.
On that note, Senator Sanders, Representative Ocasio-Cortez.
Isn't that not funny? She'll decide that. Let the man speak for you, AOC. That's not toxically masculine at all. The man jumping in for you to answer the question for you. My goodness gracious. That's very funny. And also, maybe there's a reason we're the wealthiest country on the planet. It's because we have a great system that could be better if our current government, including led by President Trump, was more committed to the free market. And the Democrats, of course, have made the healthcare system worse by socializing it more and more. The Democrats have decided to redefine homelessness as urban camping and the unhousedness, and is convinced that they just put these people in a house, they'll be taken care of. The Democrats themselves are unserious about these solutions. The only thing they're serious about is climate change, and the way they want to fix climate change is to make the nation poor. That's the solution Bernie Sanders has for everything. Don't take away his 5 houses, but make everybody else in the country poor. Make the wealthy poor. See, that they're okay having poor people. They don't like having rich people. They want the rich to be a little less rich. They don't actually want the poor to be richer. And you know, by the way, why we don't have a middle class in this country anymore. I actually know the answer. I can look at the government and private sector data, and I can tell you why we don't have a middle class in this country anymore. It's because they're all in the upper middle class. The American middle class has done so well now, many of them have gotten wealthy, and they're no longer classified as middle class. And poor Americans are now wealthier than they've ever been before. And Bernie Sanders looks at the growth of wealth in this country for the poor and the middle class and thinks it's bad because the rich are getting richer. He doesn't actually care about the poor getting richer. He just wants to make the wealthy less wealthy.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
150 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Heads up for a crash heading into Midtown, 7585 southbound below the 17th Street Bridge. Right lane blocked there, causing delays. And now I found new trouble, 75 northbound, right around Moores Mill Road, exit 254. Was in the HOV lane. Looks like they just got it to the left shoulder, so good news there. Traffic brought to you by Mattress Firm. Hurry, Mattress Firm's Upgrade Your Sleep sale ends soon. Find your perfect bed and save big on better rest today. Mattress Firm, they make sleep easy. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
WSB is your home of the Dogs.
Bootlegging, he's running to the end zone.
Tune in Saturday as 9th-ranked Georgia hosts number 4 Ole Miss.
10-5 corner pylon.
Pre-game begins at 11:30. Kickoff at 3:30.
Touchdown! Dogs may have just sealed it at 19-10 with 1:53 to go.
Only on your home of the Dogs, 95.5 WSB. Brought to you in part by Hoffman Financial Group, official partner of the Georgia Bulldogs.
You need to replace all your windows, but some can't wait.
Start small with a single window or one room, and your window price will be locked in.
Hi, it's Ted and Jonathan from North Georgia Replacement Windows.
Our fiberglass windows are beautiful, not big and bulky like vinyl composite windows.
Your detailed window and door installation will be quick, clean, and hassle-free.
Window shopping made simple with 0% interest available.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah!
Y'all, the early Black Friday sale is happening at omahasteaks.com. I know it's early. That's why they're calling it the early Black Friday sale, but it's your chance to stock up on your favorites. My gosh, they have a great selection. They've got the New York strips. They have the butcher cut fillets, the caramel apple tartlets that my wife loves, incredible seafood, chicken, pork, you name it. Right now, here's the deal for the early Black Friday sale. You get 50% off site-wide. You get an extra 20% off select favorites. And then at checkout, you use promo code ERICK, E-R-I-C-K, and you get an extra $35 off. Terms apply. See site for details. Go to omahasteaks.com today. Take advantage of the early Black Friday sale. 50% off everything, 20% off select favorites. And then at checkout, use promo code ERICK, E-R-I-C-K, get an extra $35 off. It's incredible savings on incredible food. I recommend the New York strips. My wife says the caramel apple tartlets. But you'll find so much there. omahasteaks.com.
Linda Beaver here. Summer may be over, but the deals are just heating up. Time to get to Beaver Toyota of Cumming because your car is here, your price is right, and it's time to drive. Low monthly payments, top dollar for your trade, 600 plus cars to choose from. We really do have a deal for everyone. And only here you get Beaver benefits with perks like lifetime powertrain warranty, lifetime oil changes, complimentary car washes, and loaners whenever you need them. Your deal's waiting, your car's ready. Visit BeaverToyotaCumming.com. Don't wait another minute.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Save money by getting pre-approved for your next auto loan at Coosa Valley Credit Union. We offer the most competitive interest rates in the market, as low as 3.49 APR when you open an account with direct deposit. This is Andy Harris, President of Coosa Valley Credit Union, inviting you to stop in a branch near you. You'll experience kinder banking with real people, not automation. Plus, with 11 locations in Northwest Georgia, we're always local and nearby.
Contact 706-235-8551 for more details. Equal Opportunity Lender.
Bugs bugging you? Better call Breda Pest Management. They handle bugs and critters. And Breda is proud to sponsor Scott Slade's Georgia every Thursday on Atlanta's Morning News.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
Monica Pearson for Superior Plumbing. Do you have a plumbing issue but have a busy weekday schedule? Superior Plumbing can schedule an appointment that fits your schedule. They show up on time and get the job done right the first time. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Hello there, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I gotta say, I was surprised this got through at the Socialist Roundtable at CNN last night. This is a participant in the roundtable, one of the vetted people allowed into the audience.
Yes, thank you for your time, Senator. How do you think this shutdown reflects on Chuck Schumer's leadership?
Well, I think it reflects more on Mike Johnson's leadership and President Trump's leadership. This is a leadership which said it's okay to give well, how do you feel? You tell me. Think it's a good idea to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the richest people in the country and then make massive cuts to health care for working class people?
I think Chuck Schumer has voted for continuing resolutions 13 times in the last 4 years, and he has the opportunity to vote for one again, but he's refusing to come to the table.
I think, look, as I have said,
ambush.
There are 53 Republicans in the Senate, correct?
Yes.
They need 60. What does that mean? It means you have to talk to the other side.
That's not what Senator Sanders' position was when he was in the majority, and there was a government shutdown. Also, one more very telling here from AOC.
Can I ask you on this to follow up? Because you said that it is federal law that people, undocumented immigrants, can't get Medicare, Medicaid, the Obamacare subsidies. Do you believe that should be the law, though? Or do you think undocumented immigrants should have access to federally funded health care?
I believe personally that health care is a human right. I believe that every person should be able to go to the doctor. But I believe that right now, federal law is the federal law. And that absolutely, that U.S. citizens and people who pay into our programs deserve to be covered by these programs. And I mean, once again, I do believe that the federal laws that we have on the books are appropriate and
But
are
if
the
you
right
could
ones
choose,
to do.
do you believe that should be changed?
Pardon?
If you could choose, do you believe that the federal law should be changed?
I don't. I believe in a single-payer healthcare system.
Way to avoid the question there. Way to avoid the question. Don't avoid Old Glory Bank. Go check them out at oldglorybank.com/Eric today. If you're in the market for a bank for you or your kids, for a loved one, they've got good custodial accounts for kids. They're a fully operational bank. They're an online bank. Your kids are going to be great at the technology for it. You can be too. It's very easy. Their app is fantastic. You can deposit cash at 88,000 retail locations around the country with a QR code their app generates. I've got a checking account and a savings account. I got the cheapy ones, the no-fee checking, no-fee savings account. You can get premium accounts that pay interest on the checking account. I get a great interest rate on the savings account. It's oldglorybank.com/Eric. That's where you want to go, oldglorybank.com/Eric. They are conservatives, by conservatives, for conservatives, started with all the debanking threats of the left, buying up shares in banks and pushing out conservatives. They will protect you. They don't care if you want to buy a gun. They're a great bank. And businesses, they're great for businesses too. Very hands-on with business. oldglorybank.com/Eric, oldglorybank.com/ERICK. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
He's the guy at the desk next to you.
We only want to be around people who think exactly like us.
He's your co-pilot for the ride home.
God forbid you actually converse about the world.
Eric Von Hessler.
Smash and conquer, my friend.
Eric Von Hessler.
Today at 3.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
This is Scott Slade, and nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier the better. That's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging's LDCT body scan can be invaluable, giving you more time for you and your loved ones to take charge of your health. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. Due to overwhelming demand for a limited time, their $995 core body scan offer has been extended. It's a $2,495 value. Early detection saves lives, and now it's more affordable than ever. Virtual Imaging has gotten such great response to this offer that they've opened up more times in both offices, but appointments will fill up fast, so don't wait. Some minimum requirements may apply. Early detection is your best protection. To schedule your virtual imaging $995 core body scan, call 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top local story. Money will soon be coming to help Georgians stay warm this winter.
The Georgia Public Service Commission plans to release $5 million for energy assistance to low-income customers this winter, $2.5 million going to customers already in the senior discount program. Georgia Public Service Commissioner Fitz Johnson says that should show up on the November bill.
It's going to be about $194 credit for the customers on the senior discount program.
Another $2 million will be distributed to HopeWorks, a nonprofit that assists in repairing and replacing gas furnaces and gas water heaters. The final $500,000 going to the Salvation Army Utility Assistance Program. Sabrina Cupid, 95.5 WSB.
77 degrees in Atlanta. What's the impact of our drought?
Streams, pond levels are lower, water temperatures are increasing, and trees become stressed, which means they prematurely drop their leaves.
Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. President Trump and Russian President Putin are set to meet in Hungary soon. No date set yet. The president announcing the plans on social media following a call with the Russian leader today. Trump calls it a very productive conversation, and it comes a day before President Trump's meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky at the White House. They may discuss Ukraine possibly receiving Tomahawk missiles for its war with Russia. A once prominent Georgia political group is shutting down after more than a decade.
Started in 2013 by two-time gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, the New Georgia Project and its Action Fund are dissolving this week. The news comes after the organization faced serious legal problems. In January, the State Ethics Commission levied their largest ever fine against the organization for charges they were improperly registered and didn't report support millions in contributions. In a statement obtained by WSB, the group's board of directors says they hope for a future shaped by justice, truth, and active citizenship. Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
A new place to get rid of expired or unwanted prescription medication.
People get their prescriptions and they potentially don't use all of them. They just have them laying around for months or years on end. They can become a hazard to small children or others getting into them and causing problems.
Corporal Ryan Winderweeda with Gwinnett Police says they'll have drop-offs at police headquarters and at every precinct in the county from 8 until 4 Monday through Friday. Johnson Ferry Baptist Church assessing damage following a fire in their chapel last night. They say no one was injured and all church activities are continuing as normal in other parts of the campus. Senior Pastor Clay Smith said they are grateful for the quick and skilled response. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. It is 2:02. This news sponsored by Brett Beckers. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
If you have Medicaid and are new to Medicare, you may qualify to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan with a lot more benefits like dental, vision, and hearing, along with helpful support when you need it most. Now is the time to see if you qualify to enroll. It only takes a few minutes to find out if you're eligible. Our licensed sales agents are ready to help you understand your options. So this Medicare planning season, we can help you plan well. Learn more at humanaduals.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a dual-eligible special needs HMO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the state Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal.
Dave Baker here for Artisan Custom Closets. Ever been doing the holiday baking, but you can't find the festive sprinkles you put on the reindeer cupcakes? Man, they were right here last year, I think, somewhere. Wouldn't be that way if you had Artisan Custom Closets upgrade your pantry. Your sprinkles would remain at your fingertips all year. Schedule your free design consultation today with a certified master artisan designer at artisancustomclosets.com and reward yourself with affordable luxury over the holidays. artisancustomclosets.com.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
It is 2:05. Time for live team coverage of traffic and weather in the 24-hour traffic center. It's Sky Smith. And we'll get back to the traffic center here in just a moment.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upward. Sunny skies today, high 81, lows tonight in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, high near 80. Saturday, a mix of sun and clouds, high 82.
And to the traffic center again, here is Sky Smith.
All right, good afternoon, Bill. Fulton County, 20 eastbound right before 285. We've got a crash in the right lane. Traffic is backed up past Six Flags. Now, that crash that we were talking about earlier, 7585 southbound before 17th Street, that is now cleared. All lanes are open. I'm Sky Smith, 95.5 WSB.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Well, the Democrats have just voted to shut down the government again. This is their 10th vote to refuse to reopen the government. Very interesting. The Democrats have for a while been showing polling that shows people blame the Republicans, and I kind of understand that because every other shutdown has been caused by the GOP, and the Democrats have essentially messaged off of that. But as the Republicans have been more and more consistently saying, the Democrats, it seems more and more like people are starting to shift and realize it actually is the Democrats who are keeping the government shut down. And I think we're going to see as this drags out and the Republicans continue to vote to open the government and the Democrats continue to keep blocking the government from opening, that it's not going to go as well for the Democrats as they thought it would. We'll see how it plays out. I want to turn my attention to something else, though. And I mentioned this just a little bit earlier. There is a belief argued by some within this administration that capitalism is bad in the way the mineral issue and the rare earth mineral issue works, that the capitalists are going for cheap access to Chinese minerals. They're not investing in the United States. There actually is a subversive undercurrent of progressives on the right these days. This gets me into some of the stuff Matt Walsh has said in the last few days, that we should have no enemies to the right of us. We should not attack people on the right if we're on the right. And my view is that we should actually police our own side. The Democrats have gone off the cliff because they've refused to police their side. They've allowed the anti-Semitism to fester. There's a person on the right, he's a progressive of the right, who actually tweeted out that Hitler was actually good. We have the guy, the historian, the amateur historian platform by Tucker Carlson, who says Hitler was misunderstood and Winston Churchill was the bad guy. We shouldn't platform these people. We shouldn't have these people on the right. There are progressives on the right. What is a progressive? A progressive is someone who wants to wield the power of government to direct society in a particular way. The conservative position is that you should direct your own life as you see fit. The progressive position is that the government should direct society to steer you in a particular direction. The progressives of the left wish to steer society towards equity, and they wish to steer society towards diversity, and they wish to steer society towards inclusion, and they wish to steer society towards socialist economics. The progressives of the right want to steer society towards a two-parent nuclear household. They want to steer society towards cultural conservatism, but they also want to steer society towards a level of economic socialism and protectionism where the government has the industrial policy and the government sets the industrial policy and the government controls and picks winners and losers. The progressives of the left and the progressives of the right both want government to pick winners and losers. It's just the winners for the left are the losers for the right, and the winners for the right are the losers for the left. But there are progressives on the left and the right. They're not conservatives. The conservative position is that you know best for yourself and your family, and the government should get out of the way so that you can make decisions for you and your family. And the role of government is to ensure a level playing field. The progressives of the right and the progressives of the left wish to elevate portions of the economy and wish to elevate certain industrial players and wish to elevate certain enterprises unfairly to steer you towards them. My conservative position is that the government should level the playing field. And you pick the winners and losers. You do business with who you want to do business with. And typically for Americans, it's who gives you the cheapest price for the best product. The progressives on the left and the right say, no, government should involve themselves and steer the country. It is a progressive vision on the right that the government should steer you towards wholesome conservative values. I think wholesome conservative values are great. I think when the government gets involved, because the government is made up of what? Sinners. Those sinners will corrupt the process. I believe in arm's length transactions. Now, here's the problem, and let's play this out on the economic scale, is one of the things the government, including my friend Marco Rubio, has said in the past, that the way capitalist enterprises have gone towards other countries, particularly China, for rare earth minerals is a problem of capitalism chasing cheap. And that, to the extent Marco has changed in his positions there, we need some sort of government industrial policy. The problem here is that when you have government industrial policy, the government industrial policy tends to be inefficient. The Chinese and the Soviets have used industrial policy. Socialist countries have government industrial policies, and the technocrats of government tend to make the bad decisions. The market, in all of the chaos, tends to actually make better decisions of where to allocate capital. And the mining of rare earth minerals in this country is a perfect example. Our government has made it very hard to extract rare earth minerals in this country. We are a land of plenty. We are a land of vast wealth and resources. And the government, on behalf of environmentalists, through both Democratic and Republican administrations, has made it very hard to extract the wealth and resources of our land for our benefit. The reason private sector businesses have gone to the Chinese and the Australians and the Canadians and the Peruvians is because those countries have made it very easy to extract minerals. In this country, it takes a decade to get a mine permit. A decade. At minimum, it takes 7 years. This is the permitting process in the United States. It takes you 4 to 5 years to discover where the minerals are. It then takes you 2 years of going through a discovery process of showing your findings, where the minerals are, what you want to extract. Then you have to do a feasibility study that takes 3 years in this country. From there, the permitting process. See, let me lay this out for you, and this is from a chart, and let me give you the source of the chart so that you understand where it comes from. It's the National Mining Association, which has been advocating for easier permitting in this country. And this is the chart they prepare, that from concept to discovery of the rare earth minerals, it can take you up to 7 years. You do all the research to figure out where are the rare earth minerals in the United States. How do we extract the minerals in the United States? That can take you 7 to 8 years. Now you found the rare earth minerals. You want to get on the ground. You want to build a mine. You want to get the lithium. You want to get the gallium. You want to get the uranium. You want to get whatever the rare earth mineral is that you want. It's taking you 7 years to figure out where it is, how to buy the land, how to set up shop, how deep you have to go. It's taking you 7 years. Now you want the permit to extract them. In the United States of America, it takes a decade. So it's taking you 7 years to find the land, find the minerals, figure out how to extract the minerals, how many minerals there are to make it economically feasible for you to do it. That's taking you 7 years. Now it's going to take you a decade just to get the permit from the federal government to be able to extract it. In Canada, it takes 2 years. So in this country, the total process to extract a rare earth mineral is a minimum of 17 years. In Canada, it's 8. In Australia, it's 7. In Peru, it's 6. And the environmentalists say, but they don't have the environmental standards that we have. No, we're talking the permitting process here, environmentalists. You're doing a 3-card Monte. You're trying to extract. Just to get your permit in the United States takes a decade. You can do the discovery and you can build your plan. your environmental containment plan to make sure there's not environmental catastrophe, extracting uranium, radioactive material from under the ground. You can do all of that. You can figure that out. It takes 10 years in this country to get the plan approved. Are you really saying the Canadians are less safe? Canada doesn't have the spillover environmental problems that you think, based on the logic, if it takes 2 years to get the permit in Canada, they would have massive and ecological damage. They don't. And so the companies that are getting the gallium and the uranium and the lithium and all the other precious minerals that we need to combat China, they're having to go to China or Australia or Peru or to Canada because we have them in this country under our ground, but it's going to take them 17 years to extract them in less than a decade in any of these other countries. And China has sped up the process because it's true, the Chinese, they don't care about the environmental fallout. They don't care about the ecological damage. The Chinese are perfectly happy to destroy their land mass to get the rare earth minerals, which means you get them out fast and you get them out cheap. And that's not what the mining associations are arguing in this country. In China, it can be 3 to 4 years as opposed to 7 to 10 years, but the 7 to 10 years is better than the 17 years. We just need permitting reform in this country for mines. And what the government, Republicans and Democrats alike, have accused the businesses, the mines, of being too capitalist and going too cheap and not being patriotic. And the problem is not patriotism. It's not capitalism. It's not the free market. The problem is, yet again, the government and the government leaders who blast the private companies for not being patriotic and for being too capitalist oriented and too profit motivated. It's not that they're motivated purely by the profit. It's that they can't even get the rare earth minerals out of this country. If we want to beat China, and we need to beat China, we've got to fix this. Stop blaming the private sector. Stop blaming the companies. Stop blaming the people who want to extract our resources. Blame the environmentalists and blame the government. It's the government and the environmentalists who are the ones who've caused pain in the process. We're struggling to get new oil drilling up in this country. Did you know that? Congress is working on expediting the process. The Senate has passed it. But we have a lot of leased land in this country by oil and gas companies. We could be extracting even more oil and gas. It's still at a price point that makes it advantageous for them to drill new wells. But our government makes it too expensive to put down new wells, even on land that's already been leased and approved. It is the product of the left working through the bureaucracy to make it more difficult. And the EPA under Lee Zeldin, thank goodness, is expediting the process, but Congress has to act as well. It is to our national security needs that Congress needs to make it easier for these companies to get our resources out of the ground. And our national security should come before a lot of the environmentalist concerns. But Congress has to act. It can't just be Lee Zeldin and the EPA, and it can't just be the president through executive order. Congress has got to act on this stuff. We are falling behind China on these issues, and we're falling behind not because of capitalist motivation, but because of congressional failure yet again.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
220 in the Coolray 24-hour traffic center. We got a new crash in Fulton County, 20 eastbound. Before 285 exit 51, we got a crash in the center lane. Traffic is backed up past Six Flags. We got delays 85 northbound into Norcross. We are looking for new trouble back by Jimmy Carter Boulevard. This report is sponsored by Blindster.com. Blindster.com is a family business making custom blinds, shades, and shutters. Give them a try and see why over 1 million windows have been trusted. Blindster. Sky Smith, 95.5 WSB.
More local news.
Atlanta's airport's bracing for record-breaking crowds. Apparent murder in the Grant Park area.
More traffic.
A crash in the Cobb Cloverleaf.
One crash on I-20 westbound.
You're on and off the brakes beginning at University.
More weather.
Looking at rotation that is near the city of Brooks, thunderstorm is capable of producing a quick spin-up tornado.
Atlanta's Morning News.
Governor Kemp reacting to that tariff pause.
Tomorrow morning at 5.
Wake up with 95.5 WSB. How Atlanta starts its day.
Attention men, are you suffering from ED or PE? Here's an important message from Choice Men's Health.
I'm Dr. Katz and I'm the Chief Medical Director at Choice Men's Health. Are you performing the way you want to in the bedroom? If the answer is no and you've tried Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra and were disappointed, then you need to come see us immediately. If you don't see results on the first visit, then there's no charge. Many of our patients have medical conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, and prostate problems. I'm happy to say that we have 98% success rate with all our patients. Our customized solutions will allow you to perform within 10 minutes and last an hour and even longer. You can regain your love life and tackle your ED and PE problems. Guys, your partner will never complain again. Our clinic has the most affordable prices, so if you visit other clinics and you're not completely satisfied, then you need to call Choice Men's Health.
Regain your love life regardless of your age or medical history. Choice Men's Health guarantees results on your first visit or you pay nothing. Call now, 404-400-1170. That's 404-400-1170.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, every week on the show, we offer folks something we call the Portfolio X-Ray. I was hoping you could walk us through that process and tell us why the information it uncovers is so powerful.
Yeah, so the reason we love doing the Portfolio X-Ray for you is we do that behind the scenes. Everybody's extremely busy. Nobody wants to waste time in traffic. If you call in, we will ask you for some information via the phone. Once you've given us that information, we go to work and we put all the hours in developing the report. And I commit this to you. The Portfolio X-Ray is eye-opening. At least 90+% of the time, we can find 2 or 3 golden nuggets in there that you were not aware of that we can either change in your current portfolio mix for you. It's called a 401k optimizer. Or if we manage the assets for you, we certainly can recommend how to diversify away from some of the troubling points that are exposed during the Portfolio X-Ray. Once we've got that, then we'll have you in for your initial consultation. We will present the Portfolio X-Ray to you and walk you through the high points of it. And that's a document that you get to take with you. It's like getting a financial physical. Mm-hmm. So how many of you avoided going to the doctor for the annual physical last year? You do the same thing with your financial life. You ignore it. You keep pumping money into your 401k. You hope that it's going well, and I can tell you that hope is not a good investment or financial planning strategy. You need to know. So if you want to know, call us.
The Portfolio X-Ray is complimentary. Give Hoffman Financial Group a call to schedule yours today. 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Fall is here, and with it comes cool air and heavy rains. All that moisture doesn't just smell bad, it affects the air your family breathes and even your home's foundation. Hi, I'm Jeremy, owner of American Crawl Space Solutions, and we believe in a needs-based approach, recommending only what your crawl space truly needs. No high-pressure sales tactics and no price increase just because you don't commit today. American Crawl Space Solutions, your best value in crawl space repair.
American Crawl Space Solutions, foundations too.
There's no need to be scared of stains in your carpet when you can call Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. It's Patrick, owner of Zerorez. Zerorez cleans without the use of harsh soaps or spooky chemicals, leaving behind clean carpets safe for the entire family. For a limited time, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $129 when you mention WSB. That's right, 3 rooms of carpet clean for $129. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZerorezAtlanta.com. Zerorez, it's the right way to clean.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. You can be live on Eric's show by calling 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-973-7425.
Let's go to the phones up in Connecticut. Patty's been waiting patiently. Welcome to the show. Patty, how are you?
Hi, Eric. Very good. Thank you so much for all you do. You do a great job. This is a great last segment you had, too. The gift of critical thinking and the gift of choice in this great country. I wanted to say, you tell me if you think this would be an example of toxic masculinity. The World War II, our veterans who fought heroically under George Patton, went through Europe, Normandy, battled the Bulge, won Bronze Stars, 2 Bronze Stars, Purple Heart, heroism beyond the call of duty. And these gentlemen who served in the freezing cold, very little food, who came home, were heroes to their family, thanked God every day for God, family, and country. Every day of their life to the last day of their life, they were grateful they had life, worked full-time jobs, part-time jobs for their children to be able to go to college, did every day of their life. And even as a patient who became a stroke victim, was so grateful. Was so grateful. He had the blessing of time. He had a wife. He had a family. He fought hard in his life. He worked hard, walked home in a blizzard when all the roads were closed, and he died the way he lived. He took nothing from the government. He died on his own dime. Is that an example of toxic masculinity, or are those the pillars that made this country the greatest country in the world and are the greatest heroes of our lifetime?
Amen. Look, that's what they forget nowadays, and they say that's Antifa. They have the audacity to compare the men who fought in World War II to the face-covered, flannel-wearing, smelly hippies who are attacking federal agents. Yeah, the values of the World War II generation today would be compared to toxic masculinity to the left. It's shameful. It is. It's why we got to push back against them and make gains in this country for the right. That's where Americans for Prosperity comes in. They're building an army of conservative activists to put points on the board for the right, to advance common sense conservative reforms. I was in Vermont last week. A week ago today, I was in Vermont. I was given a speech to Americans for Prosperity up there, where their boots-on-the-ground activists have helped the Republicans come within 2 seats of a majority in the state Senate. In fact, the lieutenant governor in Vermont is a Republican. Did you know that? He's the first lieutenant governor in Vermont to have beaten an incumbent since 1815. And the Republicans were helped by Americans for Prosperity, who around the country raise up an army of grassroots activists to advocate for common sense conservative reforms. The Democrats in Vermont are embracing conservative agenda items as they're scared to lose power. They're seeing what's happening up there. And it's because of the hard work of AFP that the Republicans are gaining common sense conservative reform. It's easy. It's wonderful. It helps. You go to AmericansForProsperity.com or sign up with AFPvolunteer.com. Go to AFPvolunteer.com, sign up with Americans for Prosperity, and become one of the army of activists who are advocating for common sense conservative reforms in the nation. I'm on their board of advisors. I would love to have you with us. AFPvolunteer.com.
All the notifications you need.
The story developing in Marietta.
All the local and breaking news alerts you need.
We're following breaking news in Atlanta.
All in one place.
The 95.5 WSB app.
Download it today.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News.
Weather.
Traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's news and talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. President Trump says he and Russian President Vladimir Putin will be meeting soon in Hungary. But first, White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt says there will be a meeting with high-level advisors.
Plans are now being made for the Russian side and our folks, led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, to meet.
Trump says he had a very productive call with Putin today. It comes a day ahead of President Trump's White House meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky. The court appearance for the Clayton County father of a 6-month-old baby found dead in Clayton County has been rescheduled for tomorrow. Antonio Pierce charged with murder in the death of Nakai Pratt, the child's mother. Nicorette Pratt has also been arrested and will appear in court tomorrow. Police say they are trying to figure out her involvement in the case. She's charged with obstruction and making false statements. The National Human Trafficking Hotline is being taken over by a new contractor after an audit finds the former contractor failed to report tips to police. The hotline gets about 1.5 million calls every year. Help is on the way for low-income Georgians when it comes to their natural gas bills.
Winter's coming, and we know it's coming, and we've got to do something to help our underserved.
Georgia Public Service Commissioner Fitz Johnson says they're voting next week on a plan to release $5 million to customers from the state Universal Service Fund. Half of the money will go to the nearly 13,000 customers currently enrolled in the Atlanta Gaslight Senior Citizen Discount Program. They're going to receive a one-time credit of almost $200 on the November bill. It is 2:32, and this news is sponsored by FGA Roofing.
Scott Slade here to talk to you about your health, and I think it's real important to talk about what is most likely to kill you. Heart disease is the #1 killer of Americans, and the older we get, the more prevalent it is. But you can reduce your risk. Eat right, don't smoke, exercise, and be informed about what's going on in your own body. Like lots of potentially serious health problems, if you catch heart disease early, you vastly increase your chances of living a longer life. And that's where virtual imaging comes in. Virtual imaging scans take less than 10 minutes and screen with 98% accuracy for heart disease. Other scans, including brain and full body, are available too. Virtual imaging is locally owned and operated in Atlanta for over 15 years, so they can make you this terrific offer. A complimentary heart scan for you and your spouse with a few minimum requirements. So don't put this off. I've done it. Call Virtual Imaging today for your free heart scan. 770-678-SCAN. That's 770-678-7226. Or visit their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
This is Monica Pearson from My Plumber Superior Plumbing. The owner, Jay Cunningham, has been serving Atlanta for almost 40 years. They are Atlanta's plumber. Most other plumbing companies have been purchased by private equity conglomerates. Superior Plumbing is entrenched in the community. But the reason I chose Superior Plumbing is that they respect your time with on-time appointments and quality work done right the first time.
Superior, the honest one. Call 770-422-PLUM.
Two homes, same street, practically twins. One sells fast for top dollar. The other still sitting around like it forgot to shower. So what happened? Hey, it's Eric Von Hessler. Well, the first seller went old school. Traditional agent, endless showings, price drops, emotional roller coaster, and eventually they settled for less. The second seller, they used Orchard. Now, Orchard doesn't just list your home, they work it. Their agent knew what upgrades would catch a buyer's eye, brought in pros to handle everything, and made that house look like it belonged in a real estate magazine. And the best part? With Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program, that seller packed up and moved out before a single stranger walked through their old front door. No showings, no stress, no, hey, can you hide the cat and vacuum cleaner again? Just top dollar and a smoother move. Want in? Start with a free home valuation at orchard.com. That's orchard.com.
At 2:34, Sky Smith is in the 24-hour traffic center.
Thanks so much, Bill. All right, I got some great news for you guys. The crash, Fulton County 20 eastbound before 285 exit 51. Well, that is off to the side. And even more great news, 85 northbound, that crash, Norcross by Jimmy Carter Boulevard. That's been also cleared, but we still got some delays back from 285. I'm Sky Smith, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upward. Sunny skies today, high 81, lows tonight in the mid-50s. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, highs in the upper 70s to low 80s. A mix of sun and clouds on Saturday, high 82.
Plenty of sunshine again today, 81 in Riverdale, 78 in Duluth. It's 79 in Kennesaw. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Truth over tribe. Conviction over party. Eric Erickson. Conservative, but not captive.
Welcome back. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States of America. Delighted to have you with me. I want to return to the Supreme Court decision yesterday, Louisiana versus Calais. It is the redistricting decision in the Voting Rights Act case. Based on districts in Louisiana. And there is concern from Democrats that they could be wiped out in the South. Democrats hold 24 seats in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee combined. If the Voting Rights Act Section 2 is whittled down based on the proposal made by John Sauer, the Solicitor General for the Trump administration, Republicans could, in theory, gain 12 more seats in the South. In fact, Republicans could wipe out a majority-minority district in Tennessee. They could whittle down majority-minority districts in Florida and in North Carolina. In Georgia, they could wipe out the one majority-minority district in South Carolina. They could end it in Louisiana and Mississippi as well. And that's the Democrat nightmare scenario. I'm very familiar, however, with the history of how the Voting Rights Act helped Republicans, because I was starting to pay attention to politics in the 1990s in high school and in college, and it was the majority-minority districts that actually helped the GOP take over in the South. How so? Well, because of Supreme Court precedent, the Gingles or Jingles decision from 1986 that I talked about yesterday, Thornburg versus Gingles, that was a North Carolina case that went to the Supreme Court. And the court essentially said you've got to be able to draw districts in your states that reasonably represent minority voters. You can't dilute their voting strength. Meaning if you've got areas of the state that have high concentration of black voters, you can't carve them up into predominantly white districts to ensure that black members of Congress can't get elected. And so the way that case, Jingles, was interpreted was to draw districts that were very weirdly shaped, but to draw black voters into specific districts to ensure that black members of Congress could get elected. It has expanded over time in some cases to ensure Hispanic members can get elected, but mostly black members. And the way it had to work under this mandate from the Supreme Court in the Democratic South, where Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee were controlled at the time by Democrats. White Democrats controlled those states. It forced those states to the right because you had to lump enough Democrats together in districts that were majority black districts to ensure that the black Democrat could get elected. And that cut Republicans out of those districts. It made other districts more Republican. And what the white Democrats in the South reasoned at the time was that the independent voters would still be voting Democrat. And in 1994, there was a massive shift with Bill Clinton in the White House in Washington, and independent voters in the South and the Midwest who had historically voted Democrat decided, I don't like that guy. I'm voting Republican. And it caused this massive wave in 1994 of Republicans getting elected in the South. And the Republicans were able to get elected because the Democrats had drawn districts in those states to make them majority black districts. And in doing so, they had taken a lot of Democrats out of surrounding areas in the urban core of those states. That ensured that the other districts became more and more Republican over time. And then the Republicans started getting elected at the federal level in the 1990s. And then by the 2000s, it started happening at the state level. And then by 2010 was happening at the local level. Areas of the country were starting to vote Republican at the federal level. Remember, some of these states had voted for Ronald Reagan against Jimmy Carter, and then definitely against Walter Mondale. They were comfortable first voting Republican for president. Then they became comfortable voting Republican for the Senate. Then they became comfortable voting Republican for the House. Then they became comfortable voting Republican for governor. Then they became comfortable voting Republican for the state legislature. The state legislature was at the bottom, and it took a long time from Ronald Reagan in 1980, and then you started getting the accidental senators in the South, Republican senators who they didn't think would get elected in Georgia and in Florida and elsewhere, and then they started regularly electing Republican senators and then Republican congressmen and ultimately Republican state legislatures in the South. And they did it because of the majority black districts where the Democrats had to be lumped together to preserve the voting strength of black voters in the South. And that helped Republicans get elected. Ironically, now you fast forward to the year 2025. In 1994, those majority black districts helped the Republicans take over Congress by pulling Democrats into districts where they otherwise would not have been, in weirdly shaped districts that stretched across states to ensure black representation in Congress. It helped the GOP. And now, ironically, because of the shift of voters in the South and the Midwest over time, the majority black districts helped the Democrats. It hurt the Democrats in the 90s. In 2025, it helps the Democrats to have those districts because otherwise those states have become so Republican over time. If you diluted the black voting strength now, the districts would be Republican for a time. And that's the thing the Republicans don't realize here. Some of these districts are extremely Republican right now in the South. But they could be diluted in such a way that if the mood shifts dramatically against the Republicans, you could very much have a dramatic shift back to the Democrats. You could swing the other way. I'm thinking of my buddy Rich McCormick. He's in the 7th Congressional District in Georgia. The 7th Congressional District in Georgia, it was redrawn. After the 2020, the GOP shook things up again, and that district is a pretty solidly Republican district. Rich McCormick won it with 65% of the vote, I think. That district had been Lucy McBath district, where she won at 61%. It was redrawn, I think. I'm pulling up the most recent one here, 2020. Yeah, it was redrawn 2022. It was 60% Democrat. In 2024, it was 65% Republican. That district, you could bring down Rich McCormick's vote total to eliminate some of the 6th Congressional District, which is a Democratic district now in Georgia. You could make it a slightly less Republican district that Rich would still get elected in, and you could actually make this majority-minority district that's south of it actually competitive for the GOP for now. The problem for Republicans that are cheering on the end of the Voting Rights Act and the ability to get rid of these majority black districts is this. There's no such thing as politics or permanence in politics in America. There's simply no such thing as permanent majority politics in the United States. This is from Nate Cohen at the New York Times. Republicans have been redrawing congressional districts this year, but so far it hasn't seemed enough to deny Democrats a reasonable path to control the House of Representatives. That might change if the Supreme Court strikes down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act in Louisiana versus Calais. Without Section 2, which has been interpreted to require the creation of majority-minority districts, Republicans could eliminate upwards of a dozen Democratic-held districts across the South. Republicans may not eliminate every Democratic-leaning district that they technically could, but the party's aggressive mid-cycle redistricting suggests they would eliminate enough to obtain a significant structural advantage. It's not clear whether this would occur by next year's midterm elections, with a court ruling likely next summer, but the new seats would eventually be enough to make Republicans favored to win the House even if they lose the popular vote by a wide margin. With those new seats added to the ones Republicans already seem poised to gain, the House would not be competitive in most election years. Remember, this is what the Democrats have done in New England. This is what the Democrats have done in Illinois. This is what the Democrats have done in California, where their nonpartisan drawing is actually stacked full of progressive Democrats. Despite all the gerrymandering by both political parties in recent years, neither has been able to obtain a significant structural advantage in the House this decade. In two very close elections, the party that won the most votes won the most seats. That's partly because each side's gerrymanders canceled out the others, but it's also because the two major legal limitations on gerrymandering have canceled each other out: state redistricting laws and Section 2. While state laws redistricting gerrymandering have mostly been enacted by Democrats in blue and purple states, Section 2 is the main legal limitation to gerrymandering in many red states in the South. It bans voting practices that discriminate based on race, which has been interpreted to require the creation of majority-minority districts in areas with racially polarized voting and where minority groups represent a majority of the population. Without Section 2, many state legislatures would be free to eliminate majority-minority congressional districts, which mostly vote Democrat. It's hard to say exactly how many districts Republicans would eliminate. It's also hard to say whether Republicans would be able to eliminate those districts before next year's midterms. The Supreme Court probably isn't going to come out with a decision until after the primaries. But even on the lower end of the estimate, Republicans will probably eliminate around a half dozen districts. The majority black districts and otherwise overwhelmingly Republican states and regions of the Deep South. One limiting factor, however, is that you could endanger Republican incumbents. And Nate gets to the point that I've been making. This is true in relatively competitive states like Georgia or Texas, where Republicans have to preserve some number of Democratic districts to ensure that every Republican incumbent represents a safe district. It's true in Florida, where Republicans have the additional burden of needing to plausibly follow the state's not strongly enforced Fair Districts Amendment. A second limiting factor is the cooperation of Republican members of Congress or even state legislatures. It's not always painless for Republicans to eliminate enough additional Democratic seats, and Republican officials may not support more aggressive gerrymandering, even if it's mathematically possible. There is this balance of the state interest, and it's the state legislature that does it, not Congress. And you got to have the state legislature go along with it. And here's the dirty little secret. Some of these Republicans prefer some of the Democrats to the Republicans. It's true. You know, I could see in Georgia, for example, Republicans propping up a Democratic member of Congress just to hurt Lucy, or to hurt Marjorie Taylor Greene. They could prop up Lucy McBath. Preserve her Democratic district, cause problems for Marjorie. Republicans have to be careful with this as well, because demography is not destiny. Black and Hispanic voters have moved to the right, but they could move to the left. White voters have been moving to the left. It's a complicated process, and it's a gamble. I'm reminded of my state, where in the early 2000s, the writing was on the wall. The state of Georgia was shifting to the Republican Party, and the Democrats in the state of Georgia played it too clever by half with their redistricting. They got tossed out by federal courts and had to redistrict again, and they did their best to make the districts as Democratic as possible. You know what happened on Election Day? Many of those districts drawn to be Democrat had the voters of those districts who were Democrats show up and vote Republican, and it handed the Republicans control of the Georgia State Senate. And then in the state House, a number of Democrats decided, you know what, turns out I'm a Republican, and flipped to the GOP. Sonny Perdue got elected governor in the state of Georgia, the first Republican since Reconstruction. He did it in 2002. The state of Georgia began to flip and flip and flip and flip. And the state became Republican. And now here in 2025, Republicans in Georgia are worried it could shift back to the Democrats. It's become more of a swing state. The suburban voters in Texas have become more swingy. In fact, the irony is in Texas, it's the recent migrants from California who are more conservative than the longtime Texans. The Republicans have got to be careful with the games they play with redistricting, because it can come back to bite them. Right now, it absolutely would help the Republicans to wipe out some of these majority-minority districts. But the reality is, long-term, it actually probably hurts the Republicans to have the Voting Rights Act go away. Right now, they can hide behind the Voting Rights Act to carve Democratic seats and protect themselves from the wrath of Republican voters who want them to maximize Republican gains. But in maximizing the Republican gains without the Voting Rights Act, the Republicans risk actually helping the Democrats long-term take back power in southern states.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
250 in the Cool Ray Carrier 24-hour traffic center. Out in Tucker, we got a stalled-out tractor trailer on the 85 southbound ramp to 285 southbound, blocking a center lane. Now, if you're headed into downtown, we got brake lights starting back by 400 by Lenox, rolling all the way down to I-20. This report is sponsored by True Natural Gas. They could be aliens. They could report aliens have landed, but that wouldn't be true. Here's something that is true. True Natural Gas offers low rates and great customer service. Visit TrueNaturalGas.com. Sky Smith for 95.5 WSB.
WSB is your home of the Dogs.
He's bootlegging. He's running to the end zone.
Tune in Saturday as 9th-ranked Georgia hosts number 4 Ole Miss.
10-5 corner pylon.
Pregame begins at 11:30. Kickoff at 3:30.
Touchdown. Dogs may have just sealed it at 19-10 with 1:53 to go.
Only on your home of the Dogs, 95.5 WSB. Brought to you in part by Hoffman Financial Group, official partner of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Been wanting a new deck for your home, something that's built just the way you want it, but you're scared to pull the trigger? I can help you with that. Dave Baker here for Ben Hill Renovations. Right now, Ben Hill Renovations are offering special financing. No interest if you pay in full within the 18 months promo period. You're welcome. Visit bhrenovations.com today and schedule a free design consultation at your home. Ben Hill Renovations, creating raving fans since 1964.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
Can you guys believe Halloween is approaching, Thanksgiving, Christmas? Omaha Steaks is helping you out right now with an early Black Friday sale. You can get 50% off site-wide right now, and you get an extra 20% off select favorites and more. It's limited time deals because it's the early Black Friday sale. You want the caramel apple tartlets, but listen, if you're just into meal prep or you're tired of the family arguing over dinner, you load up the deliciousness from Omaha Steaks. I load up on the New York strips. It's what I feed the guys on Sunday nights for football weather. Grilling, it's fantastic, and I take advantage of this discount as well. And then here's the thing. At checkout, you use promo code ERIC, and you get an extra $35 off. Minimum order required. The unbelievable savings, 50% off site-wide, 20% off select favorites for a limited time for early Black Friday, and an extra $35 off. And all you do is go to omahasteaks.com, load up your cart. At checkout, you put in ERIC, E-R-I-C-K. Start saving real big today.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Investing in the stock market certainly has its ups and downs. Perhaps it's time to redeploy some of your investment assets. One asset class you may not be aware of is mass tort legal cases. For example, we're talking about Roundup and mesothelioma, where smart money has been investing in mass torts for a few decades with continued profits. We are Paragon Analytics AI. We use advanced data mining and AI techniques to find valid mass tort legal cases. We're looking for accredited investors to invest as little as $25,000 with a guaranteed fixed return to our investors. Call 888-WITH-PARAGON today to find out more. There's no cost, no obligation. If you can invest $25,000 or more, join the smart money and get with Paragon at 888-WITH-PARAGON. That's 888-WITH-PARAGON. Again, 888-948-4727.
Investment involves risk. Consult with your financial professional before investing.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. The 4 Things You Need to Know podcast, giving you the 4 things to pay attention to after the show. Available on YouTube and your favorite podcast app, or by texting Eric to 33777.
Working on something right now. The markets are tanking. There are some growing concerns about regional bank loans and the stability of the regional banking market in the country. I'll have that in the 4 Things to Know podcast. Right now, I want to take James's phone call. Welcome to the show, James. How are you?
Good. I was just wondering why we never talk about Connecticut. I know you're kind of a southern station, but Connecticut is Democratic all the way through, right from congressmen, senators, governors, mayors. That state is so blue, it's bluer than navy blue. I don't think they have I know one time they had 5 districts, and out of the 5, 1 was Republican. I lost count now. I don't know if they're all Democratic now and no Republican.
Yeah, and so James, I did mention Connecticut the other day and used it to highlight the problem that it wasn't just the southern states, although it is a bigger issue in southern states because of the Voting Rights Act that doesn't apply to Connecticut. It applies to the South. But in Connecticut, there actually used to be a congressional district that was Republican, and in the year 2000, the Democratic legislature in Connecticut redistricted in a way to eliminate that district. And there actually is enough of a Republican core in the state of Connecticut that they could draw a district reasonably compact that did actually provide Republicans with a district in Connecticut. And it's the Democratic legislature in Connecticut has flat out refused to shake up its congressional district because they don't want to give the Republicans one. Connecticut is actually more gerrymandered than Georgia is, where I am, because in Georgia we're bound by the Voting Rights Act and Connecticut isn't. So the Democrats there have gone hog wild to make sure Republicans can't get elected to Congress, even though they could draw more reasonable districts that would get a Republican elected.
Yeah, when they went from 6 districts to 5, District 5 was kind of a mix between Democratic and Republican, and they had a ton of independents. And which way the independents went, that's where you either got a Democratic congressman or Republican. I know for a while there they had a Republican in District 5, but not anymore.
Yeah, and so for those of you who aren't in Connecticut, if you were to look at this district, it's District 5 is very oddly shaped. It's got a almost like a mouth, an upper lip and a lower lip that wrap around Bristol County there and go over towards Hartford from the west side of the state, and they could make that a more compact district, but it would be Republican, and the legislature refuses to. Now, I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm, but before I get out of here, you can get 3 of them. Save $200, get them for less than $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK3. What you do is you go to EdenPureDeals.com, you put in ERIC3 in the discount code box, you get 3 of these. They're an air purifier, and they're an odor eliminator, and they work so well as an odor eliminator. I keep one in my travel bag. They're small. You can keep it in your hand. You get 3, upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your RV, your travel bag, wherever you need them. They get rid of 99.9% of bacteria and viruses. They eliminate odors. They trap dust, pollen, pet dander, you name it. What you do is you go to EdenPureDeals.com, put in the discount code ERIC3, and you will get 3 of them. You will get them for less than $200. You'll get them saving $200. You'll begin to eliminate odors, plug it into the wall, whatever you need. EdenPureDeals.com.
When traffic hits.
I-75 completely shut down north and south between McDonough and Locust Grove.
The Triple Team Traffic Center has you covered.
Brake lights fill in on 316 westbound at Sugarloaf Parkway.
Your source for Atlanta's traffic.
Heavy police fire department activity.
Brought to you by the Cool Ray Lifetime Parts and Labor Warranty.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
So if you were traveling over the holidays by car and you're going to stop somewhere along the roadside for a place to stay at night, or you're flying somewhere and you're looking for a hotel, used to be that the brand on the building meant something. But there have been such significant changes in how hotels are owned. All the companies whose names you see on the buildings they're just franchisers, essentially. They don't own and operate their own hotels anymore.